So here we are. We are live for the new Bits and WIKK show. We've got a new co-host. It is Marvelite20 here, and he is going to be with us for the duration, if you will. Hello and welcome, and thank you, and thank you. What? Where? I can't even. Where did it? Where did that pop up? I heard a noise. It's a beautiful noise. I want to know what that was. Anyway, welcome to the probably last iteration of Bits and Wick reviews, and we will be a whole new type of reviews coming up here in the near future. And how are you, Marvelite? How are you doing?
Doing great, great. I'm glad to be here. Um, yeah, I'm just glad to be a part of this. So I'm excited to see what happens.
I see it was Dylon that followed. Welcome and thank you for the follow. That was very awesome.
Yeah,
I had to.
Stylon, thanks for coming in. He's actually from my stream, so
That's
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 awesome.
awesome. I had to check and see what had happened, but that's what happened. So we're actually going to do things a little differently tonight. So Marvelite and I are talking just generally about movies and comics right now, just whatever we feel like talking about. And then our other co-host, Black Girl Marvel, will be here at 7 o'clock to join us, and we will get to the movies that you saw there at the intro. And I'll actually take us over to the poster wall right now so we can look at the movies we're going to be reviewing tonight. It'll be Dread, Venom, and Joker. Three single has finally Joker. Welcome in, welcome in. I know, right? We're here. I apologize to everybody. It has been a time and a half. I have some pretty severe shoulder issues going on. Well, shoulder and neck, but I don't need to go into all that. But hoping everything gets better. And you should have moderator abilities there,
Oh
Marvelite.
yeah, I'm in the moderator view. It's actually kind of exciting.
Nice. So that should give you the ability to shout people out and everything. And I'll do what I can if you do what you can, and we'll just kind of work together on it because I want everybody to get shouted out, especially Joker. He deserves a shout out. He has been a very awesome supporter for a while now, and I support his channel as well. And you should absolutely follow him, Marvel, if you have not. Joker's a great, great guy. Actually,
I think I am.
you think you
I
are?
think I
Okay, I
am.
wasn't sure. I wanted to always put that out there. So, but we're not talking about Joker yet. Joker, it's going to be a little bit later. But right now, nice. Ahoy, Captain Salty Dog. Um, Another person that you should absolutely follow, Tony, which you probably already are. But I wanted to. Where did I put that? Oh, it's right here. Wow. Okay, so Captain, I Smash Brothers. Everybody is showing up. I love it. Hello, everybody. Hello.
Nice.
Um, so Salty Dog, I have something that I think I want to get to you somehow, but I don't know how. But I think it really is up your alley, and I think that maybe it's possible that you might not have one of these already. Let me know. Do you have one of these already, Mister Salty Dog? It is, and it's like a full on flag. Like it's got the you could raise this in your front yard. Like anyway, you don't have one. Oh, see, I gotta talk to my wife about having a way to get this shipped out to you because you are the resident pirate in my life, and I have a Jolly Roger, and I'm not a pirate. It just feels wrong. What do you think, Marvelite? Should this go to Captain Salty Dog?
I'm gonna have to say yes.
Okay. Anyway, we're really just doing random stuff right now. That's really what we're doing. We're just talking movies, and just to plug this because Marvelite being here is more kismet, as I've been saying with Black Girl Marvel, because honestly, I've met these folks in a really wonderful way, and we love all these movies and all these wonderful pop culture things. There is a lot going on in that chat. You want to reference that chat? Everybody's talking to each other.
Captain Salty Dog says if that ends up, I'll shoot a video of it flying off my kayak.
Oh,
That's
that'd be
awesome.
awesome. That would be awesome. Um, I would love to see that. So that being said, we're gonna change things up for the show a little bit. So in the next few weeks, so tonight we're going to do the three movies that we normally are going to do, the same format as before. But starting from here on out, we're going to be doing uh, kind of a take on a theme. And so the theme we're moving into next week is going to be all MCU related, all Marvel. So if you love Marvel, come on down. And we're going to do a kind of a review debate, if you will. Is that a good way to put it?
Yeah, yeah, I think so.
I think so too. I think that
It's gonna be more one sided, I think, because you're gonna lose, but that's okay.
I love it. So, but it's going to be 100% friendly, 100%. So, a review debate. So, what we're going to do is the way that I met, Black Girl Marvel, and in a sense, Tony, uh, was, oh, wow, just Jesse, thank you. 3 months in a row. Okay,
Dang.
Jesse is absolutely, you're amazing. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That is the first 3 month in a row subscription I've ever gotten, and I love it. She's been watching the reviews since day one, so she is the channel's one of the channel's biggest supporters.
I
Um,
think Just Jesse's jumped into my stream as well too, so that's awesome. You guys are amazing. I love your fans.
they're not they're my okay. So this group, Joker, Captain Salty Dog, Lady Crossheart. I have to give a huge shout out to Lady Crossheart. Just Jesse are all people that I met early on at Twitch, and Lady Crossheart introduced me to all of them. So she's the lady, the commander, if you will. But yes, uh, I did raid once. That's right. That's right. That's how she came into your
Mhm.
channel, because I raided. Um, that all that being said, the new show is going to be a debate about Tony Stark, and it's not the new show, but this for the next 3 weeks. We're going to have three watch sessions of the three phases of Tony Stark's life in the MCU. We're going to watch. Um, Hello, Commander Crossheart. Welcome in. Commander Crossheart was literally just talking about you and how you need a full blown shout out right now. Here we go. Am I even typing? I'm not. Oh, anyway, let's get Lady Crossheart that full blown shout out. So that being said, we're going to do three different segments. Okay, so we're going to do Iron Man 2, and Avengers, right? That's week one. Then we're going to do Iron Man 3, Age of Ultron, and Civil War. That's week two. And these movies, in a weird way, connect themselves to each other because they're in different phases. And then I am nervous. Yeah, no, I'm not superhuman, not completely. I do get somewhat nervous. It's not normal, but anyway, then week three, we're going to do Spider-Man Homecoming, because there is a bit of an important arc about that, who he is as a person there. And then,
Mhm.
of course, the two final Avengers movies, Infinity War and Endgame. And we're going to watch them in those segments, and we're going to discuss them. The show is also going to change format a little bit. We're going to start at 6 p.m. On Sundays, and we're going to go to 2 hours. We might extend to 2.5 if the conversation's good or whatever, but I
Yeah.
think it's
Let's not put a hard stop on that. Let's just kind of let it flow sometimes.
right, because if the discussion's like heavy and the chat's involved, and Lady Crosseye, you are awesome. You are the reason that this is all happening in so many ways, and I appreciate it. Let's see. I have the original 1950 comic book Tales of Suspense with Iron Man and the first appearance of the Red Skull and Captain America. That
Nice.
is awesome. That is awesome. So Tony and I, this first hour, we're actually just chatting. So if you want to show, I would love for you to show those Deadpool comics that you got. I'm gonna grab
Oh,
my treasury
yeah.
ones.
Just give me a second here. I gotta pull them out.
Yeah, from now on, maybe if we're gonna do these little segments, I'll tell you ahead of time, and we'll pull the stuff we need. But go for it. So while he's doing that, though, guys, I have some fun comic books that I ended up pulling out. There we go. That's what I was trying to do. Look at those huge, like 4 panel color, books. These are great. I love these. And then this is hard to do with giant comic books. It's not what you expect with giant comic books. Anyway, we got this guy right here. I like that one. And then, oh, Joker, thank you. 3 months. You guys are so amazing. Here's my Rampaging Hulk. These are all they're like, if you look at my hand, they're physically gigantic comic books. And there's a whole series, but I only have 3 of them, so that's kind of a bummer. But I do love them, and I have a ton more comic books that I'm really excited to show because I've had them a long time and I love them. I can't wait for him to show you these. These are awesome. Um, if you guys are even remotely a fan of Deadpool, even like a little bit, these comics that Marvel has are so cool. Um, I'm gonna turn my Xbox off and maybe save myself a power bill. Um, there we go. Turn this TV off. I'm making it like 4,000 degrees in here, and I'm drinking coffee. I don't know what's wrong with me. Uh, so um, I saw that Captain Salty Dog made his way over to TikTok today, and big shout out for everybody in chat. I need to be doing way more shout outs because Captain Salty Dog needs a shout out. If I can even do it. My new keyboard's making it difficult, and I need to give a shout out, of course, to the Joker. The Joker Man. And of course, Jesse. Just Jesse, who has an owl on our set. I don't know if you can hear me, Marvelite, but Jesse is the owl that sits right in front of you. Anyway, if you're a fan of Deadpool, he's got some great comics we're going to talk about. But Captain Salty Dog's got a new TikTok out, and it's fantastic. And we're going to be doing some more content throughout the week, if possible. We may be doing other segments on actual comic books and or video games or TV or something other than movies, which I know I'm not going to completely step away from them at all, but we're definitely going to say, oh, I appreciate that, Jesse. I will definitely let you know on the shout outs. Let's see. I'm terrible with keeping up the chat today. I changed to a smaller screen, so everything's a little harder to see in my old brain. Yes, he is on TikTok. If you guys should go follow, of course, Captain Salty Dog on TikTok and check out his first TikTok. It's fantastic. Like truly, truly good. Chat paused. Wow. It's a place that once you're suckered into, though, you're like, oh, I see why they suckered me into it. You can ask Marvelite. It's the kind of place that you're like, I don't know.
Are we talking about TikTok?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for me, TikTok was kind of interesting. I got into it in like 2017, and back then it was basically just people like having like weird songs in their background while they were like acting out these like type meta type videos. And then you had a couple people like Bella Porsche and stuff like that. But I remember it was like, I don't know why, it was like cosplay got big, and I think that's why I really got into watching TikTok, because I love seeing the cosplayers.
Cosplay is
And
awesome.
yeah, and then over the years it's just kind of changed, and in some places it kind of makes me sad because I love that original TikTok like style, where it was a little bit different from Vine. You had some of the Vine people coming over, but honestly, it was its own thing. And then we've kind of gotten a little bit more mainstream, I guess. But it's a great place to for 60 seconds to kind of like give your view. I don't know how I feel about 3-minute videos, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, no, 3 minute videos I'm not sure of either. It's gonna be interesting. I'm not sure
For you, it might work.
I don't know, maybe for reviews, but I don't want to go for that long. That's a long time. Hello, Smash Brothers. Thank you for being here. Um, chat is paused. So did I? Is it still paused for everybody? It doesn't look like it is. That's weird.
No, it's still moving.
Okay, I thought so. Okay. Let's see these comic books. I'm really excited to let everybody see these things. These things are awesome.
Okay, with comic books, with every number of issues that are sent out to a comic book store, there are variants. Some variants are easier to get a hold of because it's like every 5 issues that are ordered. you can get they get one variation or one variant, and some of them are just they just throw a bunch of them in there with it, and so people can request to have the variants as their covers. So back right after they had the last Secret Wars where the Ultimate Universe and the 616 kind of, collided and it was destroyed. And we had this new world where it was a mixture of those two universes. Deadpool became quite popular, in the comic books. He was already popular in mainstream, especially with the movie coming out. But he got so popular where people, vied to see his attention in the comics. He actually funded the Avengers Tower for a while, and so he had his own series of comic books. And the coolest thing was these weren't like overly expensive variants, but if you got the Deadpool comics, which I have all of the Deadpool comics that came out originally in their normal covers, but there's a variant cover like this here. And what basically happens is each of the covers, if you put them together, and I'm gonna try to get them in the shot. So let's see, right about yeah. So if you look in the shot, each one of these covers is actually its own panel of a story, and it's not the story that's inside the book. Literally, the cover is the story. And so, as you bought each of the or got each of the variants, it progressed the story for Deadpool. So not only did you get the comic book, but you got another page of the story. And this I literally he ends up working with the UPC barcode, and they're trying to find their way out of the cover of the book. And what's great is when you get farther into it, like he ends up on the cover of other comic books. So you've got like, one of the old Marvel Comics covers. There's actually like, let's see, the Rawhide Kid. There's Nick Fury, Agent of Shield that they're stuck on.
Love it.
There's one that's called there's other stuff here, but then there's even one like the Divorce of Deadpool.
The divorce. So who is he married to in that?
I it's been so long. I think it's I think this is where I think he was married to Hella,
That's awesome.
and so he because at some point, because he can't have Lady Death because he'll never die. Him and Hella get together, and so like he's the ultimate big kid, and she loves him, but then she also hates him. Um, and Yeah, so it's kind of fun. I just love how it's it was one of those things that I thought it was breaking the fourth wall in a fourth wall way, and so I
It,
loved it.
it's exceptionally meta. That's
Yes.
for true. That's for true. Yeah, it's that's why I wanted you to bring him out because it's wild. Like, I don't particularly love Deadpool. I like him and I appreciate the idea behind him, but the oversaturation and popularity of him drives me up the
Mhm.
wall.
Yeah.
He's too much, and the popularity of him, and I think we were talking about this the other night. The popularity of him kind of exceeds that of the knowledge of him, and that's not to be like gatekeepery or anything, but like if you're gonna like a character, just know about him. I don't care. You can like them, but don't misquote your character or not even know them and be poser, if you will.
Yeah, and I think what ends up happening, and this is where you get people that start gatekeeping. Um, and I listen. I'm the kind of person that you can be a fan of anything. You can come in at any point and be a big fan, and I'm never gonna say, "Oh, you're not a real fan because you didn't read the comics."
Right.
What I honestly hate, and I'm gonna do, I guess, this little gatekeepery type thing is, um, I hate when people who have just seen the movies act like they are the end all of Marvel knowledge,
Right.
and they disregard the decades of comic books they came beforehand.
Right.
And as great as Ryan Reynolds' depiction of Deadpool is, and I think it's one of the best um portrayals of a comic book character that was brought to screen because it was so honest in a lot of ways to the character. There's a lot of stuff that has not been addressed about Deadpool that we may never get. And again, just as it's like you put it this way, Ryan Reynolds was the best Deadpool you could get under the Fox banner. Now, what we get with Deadpool 3, we don't know.
Right.
If anything, I think they may tone down a lot of the the sexual content and the language and stuff, even though they might keep it an R rating. but they could possibly go with this, and we might see this with Feige, that we go more meta and we go more fourth wall and we go more, down the rabbit hole with him, which I think a lot of people are not going to know how to feel about it if they do it right.
I want to see
So
them. I agree, and I want to see them go with uh, a whole series with Deadpool where he's not a part of the movies, where they get a couple of the actors to come in and play their parts again for a moment, and then just do a whole what if series with him. I think that would be way cooler. That's just me.
yeah. Well, I would like to see him, instead of him interacting with the main characters, I'd like to see him be the hitman that kills some of the characters that are around the main actors. Like if you have like a character in a movie that has like a mysterious death, or like a villain that, gets knocked off, you end up finding out in Deadpool that it was Deadpool that did it. That Deadpool's kind of like cleaning up the loose ends of the Avengers events, and he's doing it the way the Avengers would not approve of.
Right.
And I
That's
think
why
that would
he's
be
not an
a
Avenger.
much better way of doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, that could be very cool. Or you could even go with like Evil World. Like Ryan Reynolds could play all the Deadpools. I mean, he could play the Deadpool kills
Oh,
the Marvel Universe Deadpool,
yes.
as well as regular our Deadpool, 616 Deadpool.
Yeah.
So I think that could be interesting if they're willing to go there. And some of these movies are giving me hope. Days of Future Past started to give me hope, and then of course Endgame gave me a lot of hope for what they
Mhm.
might try with things.
Yeah.
The fact that I'm going to screw this up. Falcon and the Winter Soldier took place after the blip, and they totally addressed the blip and the whole concept of a real world event like that. That means Marvel's
Yeah.
willing to go there with everything. It's just what can the
I
movie
think the
audience handle?
consequences too.
Right.
Yeah, the consequences in the movie. I mean, what they did with Falcon and Winter Soldier. You were wanting to say Captain America and Winter Soldier, I know, because that's what I want to say too.
Right.
Because he is Captain America. Um, it's this idea that I think that one of the things that impacted me the most was when he was at the bank, and like they're all like wanting to get a picture with him.
Mm-hmm.
But being an Avenger meant nothing. It meant, you don't get any special privileges. There's no money. So what did you guys do? Is basically what they was like. So did you eat off of thoughts and prayers? How did that work?
Right.
You know. So
Yeah. I that scene bugged me for all the right reasons, obviously, and I just wanted to take that guy's phone and delete that photograph. Like, you don't even get this photograph, dude. Like, not gonna happen.
yeah.
So that's just me.
Hmm.
I don't know. Did anybody in the chat watch Falcon and the Winter Soldier? Because I don't want to get all spoilery on something that's still really new and takes a little while to get through. It's not like a movie, 2 hours and you're done, or whatever. I want to use my Stream Deck and use all these sounds, but I don't have any reasons. You can't just use sounds for no reason. You're halfway through. Okay, see, I don't want to get too wild with it, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. But if you don't like the espionage side of Marvel, if you're not into the Captain America trilogy, probably not going to be your forte. Nice. Joker did the whole review on it already, so that's awesome.
Yeah.
What'd you think,
That's
Joker?
cool. Oh, that'd be nice.
Yes. So
Uh,
I've been. Oh, go ahead.
Ghost Rider versus the Punisher would be interesting. Because I don't know if we don't get to see Frank Castle kind of really go against supernatural characters very often. So that would definitely be very cool.
It would, and I've heard rumors that they're going to be doing Armored Wars on Disney Plus, and if they do, that's going to be Rhodey. And I heard that they're going to bring Frank Castle in with the armor suit.
Nice.
How amazing would that be?
That would be amazing, especially if it's like a crossover from the was it the Contest of Champions Punisher War Machine costume? That would be amazing.
Yeah, no, you should see it. It looks it. I think it's similar to that, and it's supposed to be like based slightly off the Max but era, but I don't know how Max they'll go. I really wish they would just make a Marvel Max and make like release it on Netflix or something. Like make a deal with
Yeah.
Netflix or something, or be willing to do that darker side of Disney Plus. Call it Disney X or something. I don't know.
Well, speaking of Frank Castle and Punisher, I don't know if this is something that's always struck me, and I've never heard anybody actually have the conversation about it. So, whenever you watch a Marvel movie, if it's not MCU or Marvel Studios, it always says either It'll just say Marvel, or it'll say in association with Marvel.
Right.
Right. So if you look at the last Punisher we got, what was it called?
Warzone.
Yes, Punisher Warzone. It is one of the only non actually it is the only non MCU movie that goes under the title of Marvel Studios. It doesn't say Marvel, it says Marvel Studios when they go to do the titles.
Right.
And I had hopes, and I think they had an intention of possibly merging it with the MCU, but it didn't do well, and I think they just let it drop.
We'll see. I've heard a lot of rumors about stuff getting picked back up, and I know that with the Sony deal and merger that they've done very recently, where you're going to start seeing Spider-Man on Disney Plus, things are going to get interesting. Joker says, like for a person that isn't that into Marvel like that, kind of no background, it was very interesting take on the comics themselves.
Yes.
I know you're much more of a DC guy. Obviously, I think the name tells us that. Let me hydrate. You should be hydrating too. Those are for you.
I don't have water. Y'all have to forgive me. I have soda.
No. I drink coffee, so they know it's I dehydrate, if you will. I should just call it that. So it's Taco. Oh my God, it's Taco. Hello, Taco, and welcome. It's good to see you. It's been a few weeks, and we missed you 2 weeks ago. I don't know if you saw Marvelite when he was on a few weeks ago, but he is now a permanent component to the show and will be on with us regularly. And we're about to embark on a nice Marvel run starting next week. But tonight we're gonna hit a Marvel movie, and we're gonna hit a DC movie, and then we're gonna hit an independent, which is gonna be great.
Yeah. What a Marvel movie to start off with, right?
Um,
I don't want
well,
to get started because Lala's not here yet.
right. Well, yes. Or in association with Marvel movie, as you were just stating.
Right.
100%. You have a suggestion for next week for us? Was it for us? I'm confused. The chat always, like, I love keeping up. I wish it was Insta chat. How fast is your chat when you're doing your stream?
It's about the same.
So that, okay, Lady Crossheart, 100%. Invisible is on our list of things we would like to talk about because I haven't watched any of it, but I do know the comic book pretty well already. And there's actually some
you gotta
great,
get into it.
right? And I do. There's also a couple other, more obscure comic books. And I know that Umbrella Academy's been out for a couple years already, but it's still relatively new. And then there's, Invincible is a comic book that's like, what if Superman were real, but and I don't want to really go too far into it, but just check it out.
It's just kind of be aware. It's very visceral. It does delve into a lot of stronger topics in the story. It is gory as a cartoon, so if you have any concerns or if you're triggered by anything like that, and they don't pull punches,
Right.
so it's definitely good, and since Snippets hasn't really watched it yet, it's at least all available now, so he can kind of binge it before they. I don't know what it is. I think Disney Plus has kind of ruined it for streaming because it seems like now we're on this weekly release thing again, like we were with television, and I guess it's fine, but I like everything at once usually.
I'm gonna make an argument for both because I like both. But see, here's the thing: if you do Netflix style binge releases, people who like it week to week don't have a choice because people will binge and then talk about it, and then spoilers all over the place, right? But
Right.
if you do the week to week, the people who want to wait can just wait till it's over and then watch all of it, right? And then the people that like to week can do that. Now, I will argue that the week to week has actually made the shows like Falcon and the Winter Soldier, which might have done okay, do better because of the
Yeah.
fact that it was a week to week and people wanted to talk about it. That water cooler aspect,
Yeah.
us
Especially
started
for
with it,
WandaVision. Yeah.
especially for WandaVision and for Loki coming up. That's going to be a
Yes.
big one. Everybody's excited about that. So, you like how they transfer from comic to TV too? I do too, because you can actually take each episode as an issue, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of a 6-issue comic or a trade paperback or graphic novel, if you will.
Yeah. that was a great thing about Invincible. I will say that every episode was its own thing. There was an overlying storyline that you really wanted to know what was going on, and there were other storylines that were hitting from other characters. And it was a slow burn, but it didn't feel like you didn't feel like there was any of the episodes was just kind of like, can we just get on with it and get to the end of this
Oh
so we
yeah.
know what's going on? So that was definitely they did a great job with that.
No burner episodes, if you will, or
No, not at
filler,
all.
which I hated that about 26 episode seasons. Don't
Hmm.
I like British television because they're just like, here's 6 episodes next, and then we'll move to the next series. And I
Hmm.
liked that because you could just get a cohesive story. Having to have filler episodes, man, that had to be a struggle for producers. Like, okay, where's the trope hat? Let's get another trope in here. And they must have loved holiday episodes because they were just easy. Like, oh, it's Halloween, just do a Halloween episode.
Right.
Which is sad, but also great because we're not going to get those anymore. Modern
Well,
television isn't
well,
going to have those.
what was it like? What was it like? A normal primetime television, like in the evenings, like if it was not a like a family show, unless at some point they ended up in Disney World.
Right.
Like that was like the thing.
It
Like
had to be that
they
the afternoon TV, right? You're talking like Family Matters or something along those
Family
lines. Right, right, right.
Matters, Step by Step, all of
Saved by the
those
Bell.
like yes, they all like I don't know. Did Saved by the Bell actually end up
No, but
in?
they went to the beach, so it was either Disneyland or they went
That's
to the
right.
beach.
That's
Like
right.
it's
Yeah, they
one
did the
or the
beach.
other.
They
Because
did.
like 90210 went to the beach. Everybody anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway,
Yep.
I'm dating myself now.
Yeah.
Um, so oh, what was I gonna say about all of that? Boy, my brain just disconnected for a second there. Um, that's okay. So the idea, this goes back to what Lady Crossart was saying. The idea is that we want to do a potential couple other shows, but we'll have a show where you'll be able to watch Marvelite and Black Girl Marvel talking about just straight MCU, just hashing it out, right? Because they are both MCU like fanatics. I'm not even gonna use the word fanatics, right? If you look at Marvelite's background there, he's got some stuff, right? And that's where we
A
click.
little
We
bit.
click on movies. We click on Marvel. We click on comics in general. But that's what I love about all of this. The memes kill me but crack me up. Which memes? I
I
think
think
I'm.
talking about Invincible.
Oh, the memes for Invincible. Okay, so
Yeah.
you are good at chat. Man. You got talents for chat, sir.
Well, no, it's just because Just Jesse up at the top said the Invincible memes. LMAO.
That's what I
So
mean, though. I'm watching all the levels and the video and seeing if anything's going wrong, and you're over here watching chat, and I love it. So we can go at it with the DC comics because I own quite a few DC comics as well. I'm not a Marvel or like I like to split, but this is the way I put it. Marvel has a great universe that's so fun to explore and a whole smattering of amazing characters. But I like DC characters, like individual, like I like Batman, I like Flash, I like Supergirl, I like Batgirl, and I like to read their individual stories. But the crossovers for me in DC aren't as fun. I don't like them. Crossovers are Marvel are amazing.
yeah, you know what? That's a good point. Like, okay, so everything about me says Marvel, but I was always a very big DC fan, as a kid, and still am. I mean, my favorite TV show, hands down, was Smallville for a very long time. I've met a lot of the actors or characters. I have a lot of autographs and stuff. I've met a lot of the comic book. I think my first cosplay was Doomsday.
Nice.
Yeah, I definitely love DC. And it's a very good point. I think you end up loving the characters. Like the character stories are so crucial to DC Comics,
Hmm.
and they were always that way. It was Detective Comics.
Right.
It was never DC Universe. It was the Marvel Universe, and you had Detective Comics.
Right.
The Superman story, it was great that they had some connectivity, but it was never required until Justice League. And so I think that's also where the movies are sometimes better to be individual films. You don't need to have them connected because when you connect them, you cut short and you make less the stories that were so crucial to the characters. So
I agree, and I agree with what Angel just said as well. It is it is so true that Marvel can nail down in live action movies so well, and DC's animated stuff is on fire. And I mean, on like there are a couple of ones I'm like it's okay, or they made some changes, and I think we should review some of these DC animated movies because there's some changes that really piss me off because they're pointless and do nothing for the characters, and in fact, fundamentally change the characters from the comic books in a way that's not like them at all. So it's weird that they make some of these changes, but the animation is fantastic, the storytelling is fantastic, and it's just fun. Is anyone else's stream acting up? I haven't even actually been watching the stream. Just making all sorts of assumptions that everything's going fine. Let's turn it down so I don't get any feedback. Oh, it looks good to me. Looks
Yeah, I
good to
just
me.
told Just Jesse to refresh their page.
So I look cool and you look warm. That's bizarre. I'll fix that for next time.
I don't know. I'm a warm person. It's
Red
okay.
Sun angered you. See, I like Mark Millar and I like his really interesting alternate takes on things. And as much as I understand why there's some interesting imagery and things that might bother people in Red Sun, I think it's one of the more compelling comic books of the last 20 years.
But I think that was part of the idea. It needed to anger. Like it was made to elicit emotion out of the character, for the characters. And I think the fact that they go that route. I don't know if you ever remember the What If series that they did with Batman and Superman. What if Superman, or what if Kal-El landed in Gotham and was raised by Martha and Thomas, and then um there was also another what if Kal-El was like he landed in what was it, in the jungle. Basically it was like, what if Tarzan was Superman?
No, I that's pretty awesome. I've never read those, but I like the concept.
Yeah.
Um, Angel had or Taco had made a statement here, and he was talking about the movie, the adaptation of Red Sun to the film. I still haven't
Oh,
watched that
okay.
adaptation, but that's what they're
I have
doing.
not either.
They're doing really weird little changes. So I'll mention my change since we're still not doing the movie reviews yet. So if you've seen, uh, why is my brain not wanting to do this now? Not Death in the Family.
The Killing Joke.
Thank you. That's exactly what I said. Thank you very much. That's exactly what I was trying to think of. So in the Killing Joke, they have a moment where Barbara and Bruce become intimate. Mm-mm. No, no, no. That's not their relationship ever, ever in the comic books ever. He's much more
Right.
like an uncle, and not a creepy one. So like, what
Right.
are they doing? Like, why are they having sex? This is not okay with me. Anyway, I know that's a spoiler, but at the same time, if you read the comic book, it's not a spoiler, and it's just this weird had to have sexual tension in the movie to make it work crapola. Anyway, I
Hmm.
digress. The service is killing you on your end. Okay, I'm looking at mine, and everything seems to be running fine. Interesting, but yeah, come on back when you're good, and of course, come and go as you guys need to. We love having you, but life, it happens.
Yeah.
Do you have any animated movies that you prefer in the Gotham, or not Gotham, but in the DC realm? What are your favorites?
Oh, trying to think now. It's been a while since I've gone back and looked at any of the DC stories. I always felt that they were so much. You know what? Okay, so here's my take. Um, I struggle through Marvel animation movies, mainly because I just don't like the direction that they go with it. I think um, the only one I ever liked of Marvel was there was the Doctor Strange one,
Mm, mm-hmm.
which was okay, um, but that was the only one I've ever been able to get through. I think really, I never liked the way they adapted Hulk versus Wolverine. I never liked how they did some of these the team ups and stuff. And then there were also then the ones that right after the MCU came out, Marvel tried to do this animated series or these animated like like individual films that were influenced. You could tell by the way the costumes and everything were, and how the character, like the actors, tried to sound like Robert Downey Jr. and stuff,
Right.
but they just did not have the charisma and the chemistry that the actors do in the live films. I'm trying to think what my favorite.
Do you see who's in the chat?
Yo, Dark Slayer, dude! It is morning where Dark Slayer is, so
Really?
it is. Yes, it is awesome to have him on.
Welcome, Dark Slayer. That's very cool. Well, I don't give me a region of the world, because I know that we do reach around the world. Um, I haven't seen Death in the Family Joker. I do want to. Those are really hard to get a hold of when you don't have $20 to throw at each of them. So I always wait for the sales. So, oh damn, that's no good. We want you to get better.
Dude, I'm so sorry. He hasn't been on stream lately, so it makes perfect sense.
Well,
let's see.
Okay, now we're talking about Full Metal Alchemist memes. I gotta up my anime game, I think, but I that's something I need to talk to Joker about a little bit, because my anime game is rough.
Yep.
It's rough.
Okay, so Justice League Doom was definitely a good film, in my opinion.
Doom is the best Justice League movie in the animated movies. I agree.
Yeah, yeah. I just loved. I also loved the tension between Batman and the other heroes at that point. It was just a great. It was just a great. I remember reading comics that had that same like touch in it. The ones I was really disappointed in Superman, Batman, Public Enemies, because I thought the comic book was so much better.
Agreed, but I did like that you got to see Power Girl and Atom and other great characters. It brought to life for once,
Right. They did. I mean, they did a good job. Okay, my biggest complaint about a DC animated film is All-Star Superman. I hated the film. I hated it.
It's pretty boring.
I just really hated that film.
Oh, I'm with you.
Superman Doomsday, I thought, just because I was a big Superman Doomsday comic book fan, I appreciated it for what it was, but I didn't like how I have a very strong love-hate relationship with how they portrayed Doomsday in the TV shows, movies, and in the comic books. Mainly because you don't really, in the comic books, you don't even get really a clear origin story from him until later on. I mean, you just have this idea that he's in this encapsulated, device that's keeping him under control. LexCorp unearths him and opens up, and he escapes. He's known as he's like the masked character until he finally makes it to Metropolis, and then you discover that Doomsday is the one that can kill Superman. But
spoilers if you're not from the 1980s, by the way. Sorry.
At this point, I mean, there's been so many iterations. I mean, even if you're one of the few people that watched Batman v Superman, you kind of know what happens,
right?
And so
one of the few people.
Which I like the film, and I'm the kind of person, I can like any film when I sit and watch it for the first time. Except for I'm sorry, I cannot make it through some of the Marvel animated films.
Now, you watched Planet Hulk, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Because that's a weird, like, cool offshoot version. I don't mind what they did, because they made it one cohesive story that wraps itself up at the end. So I don't mind that they didn't go into World War Hulk. I wish it would have done well enough that they could have, because that would have been an animated movie worth watching.
But it was still better than Ragnarok's iteration of Planet Hulk.
Oh, dude, everybody hates me for this, but because I'm a Ragnarok, huge
but
yeah, it's fun for a movie, but it's not Planet Hulk, and it's not a Hulk movie. It's barely a Thor movie. There's so many things about it that I was like, they went so comedy because of Guardians, and I'm like, Thor's movies were dark and very broody. What are you doing with all this comedy? Which is fine a little bit. Make Bruce the comedy, not Thor, or something. I don't know. Like, make one of them more serious, but they were all comedy. I love the introduction of Valkyrie. I love Jeff Goldblum in everything. So even though I would have never picked him as the Red King ever, still works. Loki being there doesn't make sense, but fine. There's a few things that don't
Well,
bother me. You know.
well, you have to realize in this spoiler if you haven't been watching anything comic book related for the last 2 years, but I think they had to flesh out Thor's relationship with Loki and give Loki that hero moment that would make it a little bit more genuine at the beginning of Infinity War. I think that was kind of the reason why they did that.
That's
See,
fair.
I did that without actually really giving spoilers. But I feel like it was needed, but at the same time it kind of muddled the movie a little bit. But it's not a good Planet Hulk film. It wasn't really even a great Ragnarok film. I think that there was a newer iteration of Ragnarok that happened back in, I think it was like 2010, 2012, where there was actually like an alternate Odin who was basically trying to use Thor as they didn't use what's his name, who was the big horn dude that my mind is going blank.
I know what you're
um
talking about, but go ahead.
I
You
want to say Mercer or whatever, but basically they didn't use that as the character. He was the destructive. Thor was the destruction of Ragnarok,
right, right.
and I thought they were going that way when they did that flashback scene in Age of Ultron. But of course they didn't. It just that he helped pave the way for Asgard's destruction.
Now,
Um,
getting back to Hulk real quick, Planet Hulk, the movie, because Taco did mention that Planet Hulk is one of the greats. It is, except and I accept the changes, like I said, but the change I wish they would have never made. Um, let's address that real quick because I want to make sure Slayer gets heard. You have to go to the hospital. 2 more days, and
oh, dude,
please feel better.
absolutely, Dark Slayer. You focus on recovery. We'll always be here for you. So thoughts, prayers. We'll do anything we can do. Just let us know. And I hope to see you again soon. Just get better. That's your focus.
Absolutely, agreed. Now back to comic books. That's always a strange segue, but that's the way this rolls. So,
Right.
so with Planet Hulk, him getting there, all the different details, cutting out a lot of the details, because Planet Hulk, the comic book is far more detailed, and they go around the planet a few different times in the different camps and various things. And Meek is a huge character, and he's not as big a character in the animated movie. And then, of course, Meek gets totally cheesed in Ragnarok, but that's beside. Korg and Meek are some of my favorite characters, and they alter them fundamentally. Anyway, the big fight. So the fight in Thor Ragnarok, the movie, I'm going to put this up because I don't want to totally kill anybody's spoilers on this. So in Ragnarok, the movie, the big fight is obviously between Thor and Hulk. They showed that in the preview, right? So that's not a spoiler. But in the animated movie, if you haven't watched it, so again, please know the spoilers are coming. The big fight between Hulk and another character is actually Beta Ray Bill. And that's fantastic. That's a great alternate character. But in
Absolutely.
the comic book, it's Silver Surfer.
Mm-hmm.
And the dude has had his shield altered into a shield, and it is so sick. Oh.
Yep.
And of course, that just shows how powerful Hulk really is to fight somebody as vicious and powerful and cosmically enhanced as Silver Surfer. I'm sorry. I'm fanboying out right now. I apologize.
No, it's fine. No, and even like I think that was one of the things that bothered me in Ragnarok. They reference Beta Ray Bill, so they're basically referencing the animated version of it,
Mm-hmm.
but they didn't reference Silver Surfer at all.
Mm-hmm.
Like they just didn't do it. And
Oh, guess who's here?
la-
Guess who's here? Watch this. I'm going to switch this now. I'm going to turn that off and turn this on, turn that on. And one more thing. Where is it? There she is. Oh, hold on. Hello?
Hello. Hi.
Hold on. You're there, but things are a little weird. I'm going to fix this right now.
They usually are. It's okay.
It's okay. It's okay. Things got weird
Okay.
fast, but it's okay. Okay, that's there.
It's all right. My middle name. Things get weird fast.
Okay. That's
nice
you.
shirt, by the way.
Thank you. It's one of my favorites. I got a Doctor Strange one. It's pretty dope too. Maybe I'll wear it next Sunday.
Yeah, I had to pull off the Venom for today.
Nice.
All right, so that means the show can officially begin. We've literally just been talking comics. We got onto DC and animated movies for a little while, and
I'm mad I missed that because DC animated movies is not the same now.
oh well, we were trashing on some of them and having a blast with others. So,
What were you trashing? That's the one I want to know about.
Killing Joke.
I enjoy that, but I didn't read the comics, so I'm like biased.
That's why, because my approach to their relationship, Barbara and Bruce in the comic, is nothing like they did in that movie. That's my big complaint.
Did they bang it out in the movie? Is that what happened?
They did bang it out in that movie a little more than I would have liked to have seen.
I was like, all right, so this what we doing? Like, okay.
Because we're gonna
I get it. He a man of mystery, but all right.
All right, so we're set up. Cameras are good. All right, we're here. So, all right, look at that. We've got all three of the hosts for this new review show, formerly known as Bits and Wick, but that's our placeholder name for now. Welcome in Black Girl Marvel, also known as Lala. Uh-oh. We lost your volume. There you go.
Wait, can you hear me now?
We can. We can hear you now. Okay. Now, whoa. What happened? Technical difficulties.
Oh, here she comes. Here she comes.
Let's hope it switches back there. Okay, it switched back.
I'm forgetting that my desktop is touchscreen, and I turned my camera with the I just touched my screen. Don't worry about it.
It's all good. It's all good. All right, so let's see if this works the way I think it's going to work. Because if I bring this up, if I bring up the poster wall, this should be right. Oh no, I got to switch this still. Okay, so but we are going to talk about 3 movies tonight. We are going to talk about. Wow, that's weird. I don't know what happened there. I know, I did. I touched everything and it's totally broken. This is not the way it meant to be. Okay, we're going to just come back to this screen and we're going to go from here. So the 3 movies we're going to talk about tonight are going to be Venom, Dread, and The Joker. Or just Joker. Sorry, it's not The Joker. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I can't remember my login for Twitch. I don't know what's happening. We'll continue.
Okay. So I think we should start with Venom because I know that Marvelite is very keen on talking about it. He wore the shirt. He's ready to go. So I say let's do this and let's let Marvelite take the lead.
Okay, so Venom was an interesting film. So basically, we're talking about a alternate universe for Marvel. I know that there had been some rumor when Kevin Feige and was it Kathleen Kennedy who was the head of not Kathleen Kennedy. I'm thinking Star Wars.
Same umbrella company.
Yeah. But the head of Sony at the time, she had allured to the fact that Tom Holland's Spider-Man and Venom were in the same universe at one point, but it was part of the MCU. And of course, Kevin Feige had that little shocked, maybe not so much moment during interviews, which was fantastic. It's fun when you can see people wanting to bandwagon on the MCU, but MCU's like, nah, maybe not. So we get Eddie Brock, which we know in the comic books his origin story really focuses on him being slighted by Spider-Man or by Peter Parker. He was basically called out for kind of like plagiarism within the Daily Bugle.
Being a crappy journalist.
Yes, crappy journalist. He was also felt slighted by Spider-Man himself. And then of course we have, Peter Parker, who as Spider-Man comes out of Secret Wars with this interesting adaptive black Spider-Man suit. Which seems to be a match made in heaven, which it magnifies his abilities. It has organic webs. But what he doesn't realize is it's a symbiote that is actually feeding off of his own powers and abilities, which makes Venom the most wicked character in the arsenal of villains for Spider-Man, because since the symbiote had been on Peter Parker, it knows how to mask its ability, so his spider sense doesn't work with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's able to magnify his strength, so it's stronger than Spider-Man, and of course, it has the organic webs that does not run out. We we find that the symbiote's hate for Spider-Man for detaching because the symbiote likes a strong host. And
Mm-hmm.
what stronger host can you get but, Peter Parker?
Wow. Spider-Man,
Um,
yeah.
and the fact that it was slighted by him, and then you also have Eddie Brock, who was slighted by Peter Parker, it was the perfect combination of a character that hates, Peter
Both.
and Spider-Man, and they know who Peter is.
Mm-hmm.
We had when Venom was first introduced in the comic books, he was a kind of a secretive character. It was a character in the shadows. They alluded to him for a number of comic book issues before they finally had the big reveal. It originally was going to be that Venom was a female. It was going to be a female villain that had all of his powers. But they ended up, of course, going to the big brawny, blonde-haired, blue-eyed looking guy that Eddie Brock was at the time.
Which Tom
And then, of
Hardy is
course,
not, but that's just
exactly. And so at some point, Venom does become the anti-hero, and he has his own course of justice, which was mainly you find it they mainly worked during the Maximum Carnage comic book series, because at that point they had to work together because Carnage was a threat not just to Spider-Man and to the world as a whole, but was a threat to Venom. And so Venom and Spider-Man end up working together in those comic books and helping to fight against Carnage. They've always had a love-hate relationship, which is part of the reason why there was a backlash with some Marvel fans about this movie. It's a completely different origin story. Now, some of it is good. We had a Captain Jameson, which they never really touch on, but Captain Jameson they crash land on Earth, with this symbiote, sample, that ends up, finding, it finds Eddie Brock instead of finding, Peter Parker. So they tried to touch on the original origin for the symbiote, but they kind of went their own direction because they did not have the ability to just do Spider-Man like they wanted to.
right. They had to
Um,
totally alter it completely just to
right.
get the story to work as its single story, as its own arc, I should say.
Exactly. And that's why we don't have the spider logo on Venom like we have in the comic books.
Right.
Venom wore this symbol as a mock to Spider-Man. It was his way of kind of like a FU, and trying to make Spider-Man look bad, because for a long time J. Jonah Jameson said that Venom was Spider-Man and that all of the things that Venom did, Spider-Man was at fault for.
For sure.
So
Lala,
um,
what do you think as an initial approach to the Venom film? What is your take? Because I can tell that Marvelite is like, dude, this is the way the comics are, and you guys did nothing.
Well, I mean, they I'm not like that well versed in the comics as Tony is, or as Marvelite Tony is, but they took I think they tried to do what the MCU did. It was take like inspiration from the source material and make it their own. They might have just made it too much their own, and like didn't kind of stay true to it. So, but I mean, and my initial thought going in was Spider-Man 3's Venom was terrible. So I was assuming that Sony was going to do better. And I feel like in a way that they kind of did. Instead of saying symbiote, they said symbiote, and that really killed me the whole time I was watching the trailers. I wanted to murder every person that said symbiote. I just couldn't take it. I cringed every time in the theaters. Like, this is ridiculous. But my overall reaction to that film was, I think it was pretty good for what it was.
Okay.
Because there's nothing else kind of like it. I always say, have you ever seen the movie Upgrade?
yes.
I said that should have been the Venom movie. Upgrade should have been like the Venom movie, like at least the origin, like the beginning of it. Just the way that the guy acted, the like the staccato-ness, like the slightly being taken over and then, you know, coming back into reality. It was, I kind of liked that version more than the slapsticky that was Venom. Venom was very slapsticky
It was a
and tried
little
to make
odd.
it real.
It was a little-
Yeah, and it just tried to make it really fun for people, which I don't think is a bad thing. But it was, to me, it was the Thor Ragnarok of its movie, because it was like, you would expect a Venom movie to be a little bit darker, and they made it very kind of light in a way. Even though he was eating people, but still, you didn't really see him eat people. You just saw him like open his mouth and they disappeared for the most part.
Yeah, a PG-13 Venom movie seems
Yeah, it was
odd.
like that was a stretch to me, because it's Venom. Venom's like this massive, I don't care, like one of the symbiotes named Carnage. Like, come on, like you would expect just a little bit more, but
That's an excellent point.
the initial thought is it's I enjoyed it for what it was, because I don't have any connection to the source material. I enjoyed it for what it was.
That's fair. Myself, I've tried walking into this movie. I've had a new approach to movies lately. You guys have been a big help to that, and a lot of the folks that are watching have been a huge help to that. I've been trying to just watch movies for what they are and not be overly critical, and then maybe try to approach some criticisms from a less biased perspective, I guess. And I tried to do that with this movie. And as I got further and further into it, it got harder and harder to give it the benefit of the doubt. Especially in some of the scenes where Eddie Brock is on the motorcycle and he's riding around, and you can tell he's sitting on a green screen, and it's not a very good green screen. And for me, I think the part that stuck out the best, that I liked the most, was Venom, the character, the voice, and they're like, Eddie. I really liked that, and that duology. That was fun. But other than those two, that thing, and then the suits looked cool. Other than those two things, the movie was really just a throwaway for me. And I hate to say that, because I like Tom Hardy. I like the Spider-Verse kind of across the board. It's a great universe. But this villain felt so throwaway, so one-dimensional, so just pointless villain. And I got to get this out. How is it that they made all these rules about the symbiotes, like what they can attach to and who, and they like go through all these different individuals who get sick and die. And then all of a sudden, once, Eddie can mix with Venom, now it doesn't really matter. Everybody else after that can mix with this creature or those creatures and have no issues.
I have a theory about that.
Go for it.
Yeah, I love theories.
Okay, so if you think back on, that was what the scientists said about how the symbiotes worked, or should I say symbiotes? They got. I think the reason why they mispronounced the alien is because they didn't know anything about it, and so I think that they weren't just wrong on the pronunciation. I think they were wrong on their biology and everything. They were not killing people because they weren't compatible. I think they were killing people because they were eating people, and they were looking for stronger individuals. Because there's a scene in the movie when Eddie is talking to Venom, and Venom is asking Eddie for food, and he says, well, what if I don't give it to you? And he's like, well, your liver is looking kind of tasty right now. They had the ability to choose whether they consumed their host or not, and that was the whole purpose why most of them were coming to the planet. It just happened that when Venom combined with Eddie, he liked him.
He liked being human.
I think initially it was a mutual beneficial type of thing. It was like if this dude dies, I die type of thing. So like, I think at first it was survival. It was like, okay, I need to survive, so I have to use this guy to survive. And then I think after a while he was like, I actually like this. I actually like being attached to this guy. Plus I think it's like, because because I'm just like getting psychology into this. Like, it's like when the symbiote is in you, it's like it knows what you're thinking, it knows your brain, it knows what's going on. It probably kind of figures you out before you even figure yourself out, in a way. And I think Venom literally just liked the drama of Eddie. Like I think he loved how emotional he gets. I think because he's never experienced that. I think he loved all of that, and that like factored into it because he likes his girlfriend. He likes how strong she is, which is why he was able to bond to her with no problem. But also, it makes me think because remember we saw Eddie talking to like the homeless lady.
Mm-hmm.
You would automatically assume, no disrespect to anybody that's homeless, I know that things happen, but you would automatically assume that she is a slightly weaker person mentally
In the trope.
Right, in the trope, like mentally and physically.
Right.
So why didn't the symbiote eat her instead of bonding to her?
Well, if you also look at the people that they were using the test on, they were testing on drug addicts and homeless people, and so if their chemistry, if they were already like riddled with drugs and they were already unhealthy as it was, they weren't going to bond with them. I mean, Venom bonded with a dog in the movie, and I'm pretty sure the dog's biology would not be compatible if some people weren't. And so it had everything to do with like health and strength, and they were literally testing on the weakest of individuals.
Well,
I
I
mean,
would say that the movie would need to better explain the bonding process more, because you would assume that because she's all the other like drug addicted, I'll say give or take maybe her and maybe one or two others that he saw when he was walking down the corridor, were like they had like a symbiote in them. So my thing was, okay, is it more like physically weak or is it mentally weak? Right? Because even if like you are malnourished, you might have a great resolve and a strong will, and maybe is that what they cling to as well? Like what? Like I need more of an explanation as to why they cling. Because if it's physical, I understand Venom clinging to Eddie. Even if it's like emotionally, I understand why. I can't remember this one name, but the one who attached to the bad guy.
Oh, yeah, we should know this. How do I not know this?
Mr. Forgettable. I forget his name too.
Yes,
But he's in the comic as well. He is a bad guy.
Yeah, but right, but I'm like, but it's like that makes sense because like his
The
drive,
Life Foundation.
Right.
Yeah, of the Life Foundation, his drive is like a drug in a sense, or like a piece of power, or like a strength in a way. So it makes sense that he could be able to have one within him. But I just need a better breakdown of like what it is that can make you compatible, or is it that you just can't do it for a long period of time? I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think there was a couple things like you have that problem where is it healthy or is it strong? Because Venom was always attracted to strong individuals. Eddie Brock was a powerhouse in the comic books too. I mean, he was a photographer. He was on the Daily Bugle, but he wasn't a chump.
No, he was at the gym every other day.
Yeah, later on when you don't have Venom, you have Agent Venom. It's run by Flash Thompson, who was a jock in the comic books, and so and he was a war hero, and he had lost his legs, and the relationship allowed Flash to have his legs again.
Oh, look at who plays Flash in the original Spider-Man movie. It's Joe. Man, I always thank you, and who is a powerhouse. I mean, that guy's huge. So they got him right in the casting there. Maybe not so much in other castings. I did want to play off of what Lala was saying, where the idea that Eddie was the right fit for Venom made me think, oh, soulmates. So like, maybe from another planet, but they were meant to be together, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
So I like, there might be some of that there. I mean, the movie didn't go nearly in depth enough to touch that. But
no, not enough. I would wanted like maybe more of sound research to give me what I needed. I don't think that would hurt. Just like 10 minutes more of explaining how this works.
Yeah.
Better.
Doesn't it feel like hour and a half movies could be, if they take 10 more minutes in these hour and a half movies to just do a little subplotting and a little detail here and there skirted around the edges, we'd get better films. 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think if you had these characters in a bigger universe, you'd also have the opportunity to have them interact with other characters, and you get them tested in different control groups. I think that's especially for the symbiotes. I mean, even until like like the most probably within the like last 10 years of Guardians of the Galaxy comics, we do finally get an idea of really the origin of Venom, to the point of where you actually find the symbiote planet and you actually find out that basically Venom was sick, and once he combines back to the planet, he actually is able to, be a more rounded sentient being. And so, it's just interesting. It's just really interesting because, we don't know a lot about it. I mean, we can't even go off of our knowledge with the comic books really at this point, because part of the reason why Eddie Brock and Venom were so great in the comic books because they hated Peter Parker.
Right.
And that rage was their fuel.
As much as I don't like Spider-Man 3, I think that Topher Grace did get a little of that rage in his character. There was some of that. The only downside is, he wasn't stacked, and that's unfortunate, but that's just choosing a different character. It was more like when when that would actually come off of his face and you'd see him half in, half out. I don't like that. Just leave them in the suit. Quit taking them out of the suit. I hate that.
Well, honestly, I think Spider-Man 3 was Sam Raimi just saying screw you to the studio because they forced him to put Venom in that film. Yeah. And I think the storyline was him saying I can do this right, and then everything else was saying but you're never going to get what you want because you forced me to do it. And I really feel like that's why we got a Topher Grace, that 70s Venom,
Which is unfortunate because I think Topher Grace, as an aside, is an actually very talented individual. He's a good writer. I think he was fun as Eric Foreman. He's done great in other movies. If you've never seen Take Me Home Tonight, if you like comedies, watch it. It's an 80s nostalgia fest.
I really liked him in Predators. He was probably one of my, other than Lawrence Fishburne, I think he was one of my favorite parts of that movie.
I agree. That's what I mean. He has talent. Was he picked for the right role? No. And did it hurt his career? Probably. And that's unfortunate because I've always enjoyed him. Still do. Still enjoy him.
Well, he has a TV show now.
Yeah.
Like on ABC or NBC. One of them. I think it's ABC though.
No, for sure. Thank you. That's so funny to hear Just Jesse say thank you to Psycho for the 3 months of subs for our channel here, because they know each other before they even met me. So it's really funny to see that. Monster Hunter. Nice. Still want to keep up with the chat here. Sorry.
I haven't played that yet.
So have you heard the idea that the reason it's called Monster Hunter is because you are the monster and you're a hunter?
Oh, interesting.
Because all of the creatures in that game are not trying to attack you for the most part. They're just trying to survive. And you're going along and taking their pelts. The right. You're taking their pelts and hunting them to death. So,
well, that's kind of like Van Helsing. Van Helsing was feared of all the monsters.
Interesting. But all the monsters were just okay. Let's get back to this Marvel monster we're talking about.
Dracula was just trying to get his way in life. I mean, you have to respect the drip.
Let's see. So this movie's hard to review fully for more than about 20 minutes, which is about our mark right now. Because it also felt like somebody mentioned that it felt like Howard the Duck. That was mentioned in the chat too, that this movie is just Howard the Duck. So it's about an alien that comes down, meets a human, and, one of the other alien that comes down is also trying to take over the world, and then they have to have a rocket to get them back to their home world. It's literally Howard the Duck. Literally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is funny.
Howard the Duck. I love that movie.
Oh, that movie's so weird and great and terrible simultaneously.
What did you know about me?
You love bad movies.
I love bad movies. Oh my God.
That must be one of the best movies for you then, because it's pretty bad.
It came out in the year I was born, so like.
There's something nostalgic about that.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I agree. What movie came out when you were born, Marvelite?
What movie came out when I was born, or what movie do I remember as a kid?
The one that sticks out to you from the year you were born, kind of like Howard the Duck for Lala.
Oh, I'm trying to think. I don't even remember. I don't even I don't even remember what year. I can't even think about what movie came out the year I was born. I have to look it up.
I don't know what year you were born. Wow.
I was born in '83. So, but
Return of the Jedi.
Return of the Jedi. And then like the things that I
83.
remember watching the most as a kid was like Adventures of Babysitting, Enemy Mine, Willow, and I think it was Krull.
Willow is a
Those were,
great one.
yeah. And so like I mean like and like as much as you know, Ready Player One is not great. I love that they brought in Krull, the weapon in Krull, at the end of the movie. I I was a big Krull fan, and I don't know why it, you know. And then Enemy Mine, I probably watched that movie more than I wanted to.
That is one of
But
the most socially under misunderstood or understood films. That
Yeah,
film talks
understood.
about family outside of family well before any
mhm,
of this MCU stuff that people are so excited about and this found family stuff. That was literally
mhm.
found family at the core, and I
but
love
but it was
sci-fi for that.
also but also the point that it focused on was like acceptance, fighting against personal prejudices.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was a great break. I mean, let's face it, it had a lot of references to current political,
One
you
hundred
know,
percent.
I mean, it was a great film, and I mean, it was probably the one thing that made me love Dennis Quaid as an actor. So, you
Well,
know,
Louis Gossett Jr. brings it in that movie. That dude, like the name Darwich, which is what he keeps calling Dennis Quaid's character over and over again, is still in my head. I still hear that because of that
yep,
movie, because it was so visceral. And I swear the same people that made the special effects for that film were the same people that did Wrath of Khan with the earworm, because it was the
hmm
same eerie, like gross feeling I got. That aside, my birth year was 77, so besides the obvious, Star Wars, which kind of puts me in Marvelite at the other ends of the Star Wars trilogy, which is interesting. I am still fond of Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and that came out in 77 as well. That's the movie I always
oh
think of, because it's so
yeah,
beautiful. Beautiful film.
yeah,
So,
good film.
Lala, we only have your head, the top of your head from your nose up there.
I have a tendency to, I have a tendency to lean forward
No,
on
it's
my
all
desk.
good. I do the same thing. I just looked over and I went, "Oh, I don't know if you want just your nose in the shot."
Let
So,
me sit up here. Okay. I
this
want
is
to
why
sit up a little bit.
we have the hydrate and the various things that we're not thinking about on camera for the stream. It's great.
Yeah, because I'm just
So,
like I'm like way down here. So it's
we
okay.
we're just gonna do the show like this, just a bunch of empty chairs,
Yeah.
empty chairs and
You-
distant voices. Ooh, that's a great name for a show. Empty chairs and
I
distant
will too.
voices.
Or a solid podcast. I already want to do it.
What we could talk. We'll talk off air.
Yeah.
So Venom. I almost feel like we could spend a lot more time on those other two movies and kind of pass this one on by with a quick review, like a top 10 or a 10 pick, unless you guys have something else you must say about it, because I felt it was
Only thing else I would say is, I feel like if they would have let Tom Hardy do his thing, I think because he did the voice for Venom as well, I
mm,
think he did a great job as A Brock and as Venom, um, and I think we needed more of that in the film. Um, he had a little bit more creative control over himself, but I think he was stuck within this bog um, of what was being done with the storyline, and he couldn't control that. And hopefully, he'll have a little more creative take on Let There Be Carnage,
which is weird because he
because
was an executive producer on the first film.
yeah, but he didn't have control over the storyline as much as he wanted to. What we got from Eddie Brock was Tom Hardy, but there was a lot of talk about how he could run with that, but he couldn't run with the story, which I think the story was the biggest thing that was lacking.
Interesting. No, totally. What about you, Lalo? What do you think? As a final word about Venom.
Oh, Venom. I'm always the person who goes into a movie with no expectations. Um, and no offense, especially a Sony movie. Like that's no offense to Sony or anything like that. It sounds offensive, but it's really no offense. Um, so I really went in like I'm a fan of Tom Hardy. Let's see what he does. Right? They cut the trailer good enough that made me interested to see the film, and overall, I enjoyed pieces of it because I still go back and watch it every now and again because there's pieces of it that I thoroughly enjoy that I feel like were done well. And if they could have just took those pieces and made a whole movie out of them, we'd probably be having probably a different discussion right now. Um, But overall, I think for what it was, I enjoyed it. If you enjoy just no pun intended, if you enjoy carnage, I mean, you just um, I think you would like Venom. But if you're like a comic book head that knows the story, like I would say, go into this with like try to remove that comic book knowledge because I really think all they took from the comics was the name, the fact that he messes up as a journalist, and that's it. And they just made something around that. So
I like that. That seems accurate. I'm just going to say that the further I get from seeing the film, the less I remember. And when a film is that forgettable, it kind of falls away. And that's sad because it'll still sit in my Spider-Man collection, in my movie collection. But I wanted it to be better. On that note, I'm going to give it a 5. And 12-year-old me would probably give it an 8 because there was a lot of, like Lala said, carnage.
yeah, thank you.
What about you, Lala?
You want to say 6?
A 6? What about 12-year-old
Yeah.
you?
Oh man, 12-year-old me would be like, this is a 9. Like seriously, 12-year-old me would have loved this because she was very dark as a child. So yeah, she would love it.
Nice, nice. Tony.
So it's rewatchable. I can watch it again. There are things that I appreciate about it, but honestly, I was disappointed not because of just being a comic book fan. I'd say personally, I'd give this a 4. It it just did not hit for me. It was hyped up. I mean, let's face it. When in Japan they're marketing for this thing, and they give out the cutest little anime pictures of Venom like holding like shopping bags for a little girl, and that's how they're going to market it. They were struggling. Um, and 12-year-old me would probably give it like a 6 or 7. Let's say a solid 6. Um, just because I would watch it, and I watched some pretty terrible movies. But I can't forgive how they. I mean, it's one thing not to give another origin story. It's one thing not to do a different storyline and take the character out of what we know about him. But to completely change what he is, he's not Venom. He's
No.
not Venom in the sense of we did not get an understanding of why he is what he is. We just know he's like this loser of an alien that attached to this loser of a guy, and together they make something less of a loser. So
Yeah.
I'll watch it again.
My wonderful wife just came in to try to get me some more coffee, and she sees the camera and she always eyeballs it like it's the enemy. It's pretty great.
Oh, we can't see you.
And I'm just like, there's a cutoff point anyway. So did you give it? She distracted me. Did you give it a solid number rating there, Marvelite?
For 12-year-old me is a 6. For adult me right now is 4.
Okay, so you give it the lowest ratings overall.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Lala gives it the highest ratings overall. I'm the middle person, which is odd. I'm not normally the middle person. I'm usually more opinionated than that. What's going on? This isn't good. No, I'm kidding. Okay.
Oh, we could take about 30 more minutes, and I can tell you everything that I think is wrong. I mean, let me just say this: one of the reasons why I give it a solid 4. Go back and watch that car chase scene. When Eddie first realizes that Venom is inside of him, and counts how many times you see. I think it was the Revuelto or the Ronaldo. The chase makes no sense at all.
It's like a big circle. It's like they're going to like.
But they didn't make a circle.
Like,
it was like a zigzag.
It's a weird.
And they keep passing the same restaurant in different directions at the same time. It was terrible. Like, I mean, I was wondering who did this. Like, is this a Michael Bay film?
That's hilarious. Oh, we could do a Michael Bay episode. I would rip into that, dude.
We could do a full episode of just Michael Bay, but we have to do another episode of just Zack Snyder.
I don't know if I can handle that.
It might be a little less mean, but anyway.
Let's just wait till the Army of the Dead comes out, and then we'll go from there.
Let's move on to
Army of Darkness,
to Dread, and we'll do Joker last. On the one exception, Joker, are you still here? Because if you are still here, I want to make sure that we can talk about Joker when you're going to be able to hear it, because this is the movie he's been waiting for.
It does not look like Joker is in.
See, I'm weird. I never look to see who's actually here. I never do. Weird. All right. He's not here, but that's okay. So that's good. That's perfect. Let's go ahead and move back or over to Dread, and then we'll leave Joker for in case he can come back. So Dread, 2008 film. Am I wrong on that? I should look. Here I go saying things.
Actually.
I think it might be a little later, 2012 maybe.
2012, yeah, 2012.
Okay.
Yeah.
Starring Carl Urban.
I was closer than you though. That's all I care about.
That's right. So it's an adaptation of the comic book Judge Dredd, which we know has already been made with Sylvester Stallone back in the 90s, with Rob Schneider. And we could do a whole episode on why I don't like Rob Schneider, but that's okay.
We can do an episode about why I love Robert Schneider.
See, now we're going to have another episode. So we got lots of material. It's coming. It's building. It's growing. So we're not going to talk too much about the other film other than maybe to reference it a little bit, but we're going to talk about this Dredd movie, the Carl Urban film. And my initial take on this film was I watched it in 2012 when it came out, and then I rewatched it again, and I've seen it 3 times, I think, which says something about a film. It is really as dark and dreary as it's meant to be, because if you think about the world that Dredd the comic book has created, thank you, Lady Crossheart, enjoy your dinner, and we'll see you soon. Dredd the comic book is a dark place. As much as it's a 4-color paneled comic and it's a comic book, so it looks light and fluffy as you're reading it, you are talking about a pretty dark and very Alan Moore style future universe where the world is not okay, fascism is fully rampant, and the only in charge group is a group of gun-toting cop judges. Whew.
It makes perfect sense for 2021.
It does. It's a more appropriate film now than before.
Now than it was back then. Yeah.
Right. But to me, like that's a hard universe to nail down. Mm-hmm. Honestly, and man, they did it. I think all the characters fit. Nobody stands out as a weird. Like in Venom, we were just talking about. Some people didn't mesh into the film well enough. They stood out or blended into the background, I guess. But in this one, all the characters had purpose, even the side characters. And that's just my initial take.
Okay.
What you guys got?
I never claimed to be a comic person. I've never claimed that. I'm more of a film person. I'm slowly getting into comics. I knew that Dredd was a comic, but I never read it. So when I watched this movie, again, I went in with no expectations and just trying to learn something, and it was weird. It gave me Super Mario vibes, but not as bad.
Interesting.
Because it's like this, weirdly built world where it's just like it just seems cold and isolated, this world. And I feel like that's what the Super Mario world is like a little bit. I mean, that one was way more trash. Like, don't get me wrong. This was like a Monet painting compared to Super Mario. So, but I went in and I thought it was, I didn't think it was bad. Like, I love me some Carl Urban, so that was already a draw. I was like, okay, Carl Urban. And I kind of went in, as the story kept going, I was like, oh, okay, this is going to happen. And stuff started happening when I said it was going to happen. Thanks, Joker. Stop. And I enjoyed the film. I think it's very weird, and I like weird things and weird people because I'm with these two guys. And so, obviously, I liked it. I mean, I thought it was good. I like the fact that he never removes his helmet. It gives me a Mandalorian feel. I love that he's so by the book. How could you not go wrong in a world where you have a set group that is judge, jury, and executioner, and of course they're going to be corrupt. Because of this, a handful at least is going to be absolutely corrupt. And I like them throwing in a female judge that's empathetic. right? It's like you're if this would have continued. I know that they have like a sequel, but it's like I don't think it was as good. Um, if I mean if this would have could have kind of continued as like a franchise, I can see them kind of blending the female in a little bit more because she's empathetic. None of the judges are empathetic really. They're very stone cold, and the fact that she can see the gray area that they can't see, I thought that was a great addition to like that world because it's a lot of gray area in life, and if you're just killing somebody because you say they're not supposed to cross the street and they cross the street and you kill them, it's a gray area. Do you think they're running from their life? Maybe that's why they cross the street. You know, like it's more to it than being like toss him in the box or kill him. So I liked her character. She was very staccato and robot like, but I enjoyed her. I enjoyed that element thrown in. So I thought it was a decent film. I didn't think anything bad about it.
Okay.
Mhm.
Did you see the
I thought it-
Joker? I'm sorry, Joker had
Oh,
mentioned,
no, no.
yeah, Black Girl Marvel. I wanted to make sure.
Yeah. I saw. I that's why I said stop it, Joker. Yeah.
Nice. All right,
Okay.
go ahead, Marvelite.
Okay, so I think this was actually one of the more honest adaptations from a comic book to a movie. I think it proved that there is the ability to do something that a lot of movies don't do. Is they didn't need to give us a huge origin story. Carl Urban, you know, a lot of people gave. I'm not gonna say it this way. A lot of people gave Brie Larson flack with Captain Marvel because they said that she didn't have a whole lot of emotion in the film, but she was playing a character who was supposed to tone down emotion in that film. In Dread, Carl Urban was extremely, you know, in a sense, kind of tone deaf, but that was the character. He played the character well. He was rigid. He was by the book. He was uncaring in a lot of cases. He was willing to dispense justice, however, as Dredd. It didn't have to build up this whole big, you know, idea that Dredd is the baddest judge, that all the other judges fear him, or any of that other stuff. I love the fact that we didn't even get to see Mega City 1 very much in the film,
Mhm.
except for the car chase, because we were stuck in peach trees. And that was the whole idea. These blocks are like their own worlds within themselves. And each Dread comic is like its own story that, you know, it didn't have to be this connectivity type thing. And this movie was just, you could just imagine the amount of world building and the amount of material that they could just pull off, and the idea that there's a world where one apartment building, basically one city block, is this entire event that takes place. And that was just the Mama's Clan. You know, it was just, you know, them dealing with this one gang that took over Mega City 1 or Peach Trees, and that was just one day in the life of Judge Dredd.
Right.
And I think that's what made the world big. It played off well. It was right in that it came out right in that time where 3D became, you know, was really big for a moment, and it played a lot off of those 3D tropes, but it did it really well. And I think the studio that did Dread did a great job of building their storyline around the idea of really utilizing 3D, but didn't make it too gimmicky. Like, you get the whole slow-mo where it really gets to give that depth in 3D films. And I'm sorry, you know, I know snippets, you really can't, you know, utilize that, but like, and a lot of people can't, you know, utilize 3D films sometimes, or they're not capable to do that. But for those that are able to appreciate it, it really did add depth to the film. And I thought that was great. It was also great to see the characters within the peach trees. You know, it was the idea of, you know, the doctor or the medic could not get involved because he had to keep neutral, or else he would have, you know, violated the trust of the people in the building.
Right,
The
and
people
his
in the
family
building
would have
did
been,
not-
would have been a problem.
yeah, I mean, the people in the building did not like the Mama's Clan, but they also knew that the only way that they could survive is possibly getting the money that the Mama's Clan would provide.
Right.
I mean, there's so much depth to every decision that took place, and even those passing things where, you know, there was that one guy that the trainee ended up killing. I think was her name Anderson? I can't remember.
Yeah, it was Anderson.
Yeah, so the Anderson ended up killing. you know, and you find out later what's going on, and she tried to give that, and there was never, and you think, oh, she's going to give resolution, she's going to make amends for what happened, but it never happens, you know. And it's
No.
like, it just, I love the fact that they were willing to take the risk to leave some things hanging, you know, and like really just build this visceral, you know, event. And it's just, for us it was this big movie event. For Dread, it was just Monday.
I was going to say exactly that. I bet you this movie takes place on a Monday. It has to. This has to. He just got off his weekend, and this is Monday morning with a new trainee. I just get that vibe through the whole film.
Yeah. But I forgot to add that I was not impressed by Lena Headley's mama.
Interesting.
She was not menacing enough for me. I'm assuming that she was feared because she had a lot of goons. And so like they did her bidding, they did what she needed, like she had the drugs, like she was, I mean, I know she was like a glorified drug dealer essentially, but she never felt like a threat to me.
Did you
like she never felt like a threat.
They built up with her with a lot of the backstory.
That's what I was gonna
talking
say
about her, like the idea that she feminized her pimp and like all this other stuff, like with her teeth, and like you hear all like it was. I mean, it's crazy. You didn't get to see it with her because she'd already established that, you know. And I think they did a good job. Like we didn't have to do an origin story for her either.
No, this movie.
You had to take the origin story. I just need the origin story. I just need better representation and maybe better direction, maybe better visuals. Like she didn't seem menacing to me. Like even when she had the knife to the guy's stomach, like, you know, to do my, I was like, okay. Like she just, it's for me, she just wasn't. I've seen people be on screen less, and I'm way more afraid of them than her. You know, or I get a sense of fear. To me, the biggest like threat to me were the judges.
Well, that's fair.
They were the ones where I was like, I'm way more afraid of them than I am of, or I would have been more afraid of them than I would have of her.
So for me, I think this would have been a perfect opportunity for the company to make one of those great little shorts like they did for Blade Runner 2049 or the Animatrix style thing where you just get a 10-minute, 5-minute little animated anime style short about her lead up to becoming Mama, because I think that would really give you that extra detail without it taking away from the pacing of the film. Watch it in the special features, rewatch the film with that in mind, and boom. What's up, Alt? How you doing, sir? Welcome in. That's just me. I think I'm seeing that story that she tells, and I think it would make a really great dark anime. So, we lost you. Oh, there you go. Now you're back. There was no volume. That was weird.
I wouldn't mind seeing more from her because I like Lena Headley as an actress. I just don't think like this was a great role, or like maybe they just didn't give her enough. You know, like I don't know. It's just something didn't feel enough to me for me to even care that she was the bad guy. I was like, all right, I just want to see what Carl Urban's doing now. Like, I just want to see like how Anderson's going. Like, I liked her trajectory from being like, I'm new to this. I can't kill anybody. It's hard to like pull up my gun to having to literally survive. You're in a moment where you have to survive.
All right, all.
Well, all right.
Yeah, we got a bit of caca talk in the chat there.
Yeah.
If that one didn't come through, I'll let it through. Turd isn't a bad word.
Turd. But
I hear what you're saying.
I like to see her growth. I like to see people move up and not move down. And I felt like maybe Lena Headley's mama started here, and she just started to drift for me. I was just like, at the point, I was just like, kill her. Like, somebody kill her.
No, and that's fair. If you look at Lena Headley as Circe, she's menacing. She's frightening. You see her on screen, you just like, I hate you, right?
Yeah.
But you didn't get any of that from this particular character from her. So it might have been the director that kind of nerfed that. Okay, Alt, I get it. Is it out of your system? Get it? Is it out of your system? That was a bad joke. Okay.
Yeah, that was, but it worked though. I giggled. I chuckled.
Tony. Okay.
Oh my goodness. So one of the things I would say about this film, I was getting distracted by the chat there for a second.
Yeah.
Um, so it was going down the drain.
Wow.
Wait,
But
hold
you
on.
know,
No, I should have had it ready. I have the joke sting, and I didn't do it. Anyway, go
you
ahead.
don't have a flushing sound, do you?
I do. Oh my god, I do. Hold on. Do I? I do, but not right now. That's terrible. I've been
That's
working on it.
hilarious.
I've been working on it.
So here's my thing. I think this would work great with Lala. I think she wasn't frightening and she wasn't terrifying in this film. She wasn't having a content because I think we were looking at the perspective of the Judge Dredd. I think he looked at it very methodical. I mean, you looked at all these guys, and basically, I don't know about you guys, but every time he was encountered by a group of thugs or a machine gun or whatever, I was thinking, okay, let's see how he kills them for this one. I never felt, and it was okay. I didn't feel like the stakes were high enough to where he was going to die in this. But that was just because I was looking forward to seeing how he was just gonna. It's like those action films where the guy is not gonna die.
Right.
You love
how he
seeing
gets
how
out of it.
creatively he's gonna kill everybody.
Wonder
else.
Woman,
Right.
1984.
And she,
Oh my
like
God.
her plot points just prove the fact that she was guilty, because the whole idea was he's judge, jury, and executioner. So he is going to judge Mama, and everything she did, she's a trash person, and we knew she was going to be the one to get judged. And I think we all looked at her in the eyes of dread of, we just got to get to her and kill her, because that's all it's going to be.
I want to make an argument
never a
here
challenge.
that it's not Dredd that we're following, but Anderson. We are Anderson because we're new to this world. And so
Right.
if you look at what Lala said about Mama, so you've got Mama who seemed terrifying at the beginning and got less and less terrifying through the film. That's Anderson going from being a rook to being a hard ass. And we get to see how she all of a sudden is ready to just like, I'll take you on. I don't care. And I think that's actually good cinema. That's just me.
I like that better. Yeah, I just feel like as it progressed, she wasn't meant to be scary.
Oh Lord, Alt, man, what is with the feces? Lots of fecal talk here.
They're being facetious.
So you gave me an opportunity to do the jokes thing again, and that time I got it right. Now it sucks because you two can't hear it, but you'll be able to see it in the thing later. And I don't mind, a little poop talking, a big deal.
So I'm confused. What's going on? So what that be?
Moving on.
All just shooting the crap. That's all.
Yeah.
Alt is a young gentleman and still finds those things that we all kind of still shame our heads, and laugh about still. So I get it. Okay. I totally understand. Moving on.
No, what's that? I wouldn't say that I enjoy her ability. I love abilities. I really do. I love like supernatural events, like things people can't explain. And the fact that they call her a mutant, I was like, "Where's Marvel? Are they gonna sue? Who gonna sue? Who gonna sue?" Because Marvel's quick for doing that. Okay, Angel, don't join in.
Yeah,
now you guys are gonna make it worse. Don't make me shut off the chat. I don't want to shut off the chat. Come on, guys.
Listen, remember, Lala, I, and Snidbits all have moderator privileges, so please don't make us time you guys out.
Yeah, please. Yeah. No, Alt's just joking, and I don't mind the penis.
Oh yeah, I know.
Penis.
But I just
keep saying penis.
Like,
sorry, go ahead.
Penesticles.
Penesticles. That's what I was trying to say. Penesticles. I like that.
I just thought penis tickles.
Penis tickles. I like all of these.
Well, all right. So. Now it's Spanish. Let's go, Joker. I like abilities. I like when they're smart. I like when they're like clever. I always like mind abilities because they can grow. If you do not follow me on TikTok, follow me on TikTok. I have a whole episode or whatever you want to call it, video about having mental abilities. But if that's probably why I don't have mental abilities, because I'll be a villain. It'd be the moment I got mental abilities would be my origin story as a villain. Like just the moment, I would be freaking out everywhere. But I enjoyed that she had this ability, and that she saw that she was a little timid to use it at first, and then she became badass when she was using it, like towards the end, like how she would like inflict pain on other people. So I was like, I was literally cheering for her. I was like, let's go, Anderson! Like I was like super proud of her
Oh yeah.
for stepping into like that, because if the movie made you root for her because he didn't root for her at all. He was like, she's gonna fail. It's gonna be over. She's not gonna make it. To the point where he pretty much had said that to her in body language. He felt it at the end, and he was like, she's a judge. You know what I mean? Like it's like he went back on his word, and she was kind of like, oh, okay, you're right. I'm not built for this. And he's like, you kind of are. So like, I thoroughly enjoyed like that. I enjoyed their weird relationship, because it's like at the end of the day, they had each other's backs, and they were already opposites to begin with, but I think they both had a code that they lived by,
Mm-hmm.
that like threaded them throughout the movie, and I enjoyed that like very much.
I agree.
And
I agree with all that.
I think she developed him as well. I mean, the fact
Yeah.
that he told her, you know, if you don't judge properly, you fail. And she
Mhm.
failed. She took the lead and said that I'm going to fail. And then immediately he passed her at the end. I mean, that was fantastic.
Mhm.
Like, even that little bit of development was like, you know, something that Dredd, I mean, if you go back to the original Judge Dredd movie, like you could see he was a hard butt, and he didn't know, you know, how to be compassionate, and he had to learn that from those around him.
Right.
I think this was a great opportunity in this film to have that little bit of it.
Two things.
Yeah.
One, the chat just made me all happy and was saying awe and wonderful things. So Jesse, I love that you want to see this show. It means a lot to all of us. It's fantastic. Same with Joker. I did not expect you to say that. So love to both of you. On the note of what you guys are talking about, I loved the intro part where they talk about, are you ready for this, rookie? And she's like, I'm ready.
Yeah.
And he goes, you don't look ready. And then of course they do that awesome throwback. Throwbacks are some of my favorites. And went to the end, and he's like, you ready for this? She's like, no. Of course she then says no. And he says, yeah, you look ready. I just love it. It's simple, it's subtle, but it's great.
Yeah, it's to me, it's a character growth that a lot of like films don't put into their like into their films. Essentially, like it's a lot of like you don't put into your story. Like you need, sometimes it can be as simple as a flipping the line down the line. You know, just flipping like wording down the line to just tie in these characters and like where they started to where they are now. And it's so simple, and it was done like very well for a 2012 film. Like, no offense to the 2012s or like, you know, 2000s or whatever. Like, people were really relying heavy on like the CGI, and like, you know, 3D was heavy. You know, 3D was heavy during this time, and so like people were, and I had to figure that out, because I was like, why is everything in slow motion? I'm like, why do choreography do any slow motion movies? Like, what is this? And then I was like, oh, okay, it's 3D, so it's giving like that effect. And then, because my favorite part of the whole thing is her death. It's her death when it's like in slow motion, and she's just like going backwards in slow motion. I was just like, because she was like high at the time, and like the high kind of slows you down.
Which would be so scary from those building heights. Like,
yeah.
oh man.
Yes.
God, it gets
but
me.
I thoroughly enjoyed. I thoroughly enjoyed the film. Like the fact that I audibly cheered for a character means something for me, because I'm usually like, this is okay. I literally cheered. I was happy that she found like her grounding. You know, she found like a backbone in a sense. Because it's like, it's a cop to be on the job for the first time. Like, yeah, I did all this training, and I read all these books, and I did all this stuff, and I went through all these things with people that aren't going to physically hurt me, and now I have to be in a place where people want me dead. How do you? It's like Incredibles when see on the cowboy shows, right? And they're like nice to the kids, and they're like, yeah, they're like, these people aren't like that. They're gonna try to kill you. Like, to me, I got that vibe when he was like, you're ready, and she's like, yeah, and she's faking it. Like, it was just it was a good through line. It was a good through line.
I did like how he tried to get into her head. I'm talking about their captor, the guy they captured and carried through most of the film. And he was like, "Oh, I'm going to get into your head, all sexually deviant and whatnot." And she played with him. She was like, "Oh, I'm going to let you believe that what you're doing is getting into my head, but really, I'm standing behind you and I'm going to f you up." Like
He's like.
When you see that little bit of pee coming out of him, like
Yeah,
it was great.
it was.
Yeah, that was so good. I was like, oh my god. See, I was that's the mental abilities that I want to see in movies. Because when you mess with somebody mentally, that's when you have dreams. Sometimes dreams feel so real that like people wake up like they're falling, or like you pee in your dream, you pee in real life. Like that's how strong your mental, like your brain is, right? So if somebody has a mental ability that can mess with you, I want to see the damage that somebody can do.
Oh,
Call
yeah,
me
yeah.
crazy. Like,
No, but like blood coming out the nose and out the ears and like
Yeah.
even coming out the mouth because you're so mentally like being warped.
Yeah.
No, I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. Alt came back and said some interesting things about Godzilla versus Kong, and there's a ripoff essentially called Ape versus Monster.
Interesting.
I know you like bad movies, Lala, so I thought I'd mention it. So, but there's like bad, and then there's that level of bad. So
I like Sharknado bad type stuff because I think, just to digress just a little bit, I think everything has a place. I don't think everything needs to be Oscar Emmy worthy. I think some things can just be fun and weird or dumb and weird, and just you can just enjoy. And Joker is telepathy.
what don't you agree with though, Joker? What did he mean by that? I think I might have missed something. Between psychosis and telepathy? I agree with that.
I think she said psychosis instead of telepathy at one point.
Okay.
He was just
A
asking.
simple gaff.
I remember saying psychosis though.
But the telepathy caused the psychosis of the guy, so.
Yeah, well, I just said I like telepathy in the sense that I like when somebody's like inside your brain and they kind of like use it against you.
Right.
I wasn't really like differentiating between psychosis and telepathy.
So you like the movie The Cell?
Yeah.
Yes. So okay, a little TikTok aside here. I put up a video about what's the best superpower. And I'm telling you, I got some amazing responses. I got some great responses, and I asked people to flush these out. But one of the responses I got was really fantastic, and I want to see this made into a superhero. So if anybody in the chat, or if you guys decide, Tony, I know you're an artist, that I would love to see this as a Marvel-esque type character, but it would be a nurse kind of look, Scrubs-esque, as like the base for the character's outfit, but it's a person that can actually walk up and diagnose somebody with any affliction with just looking at them. And I would love to see this as an actual character, a hero character, because it fits with our modern world, with everything that's going on. And I think it'd be neat to see a superhero nurse with that ability. And so you could do
wait. What's the ability again?
To literally diagnose somebody like a machine, but with their eyes. They could walk up and see somebody and go, okay, they have cancer and it's stage 2 and you need to do this to fix them.
You could actually call the character diagnosis or prognosis.
Prognosis or something to that effect. Agreed. Anyway, I'm just throwing that out there because I got some great ideas. The other one was a supervillain who could basically the Pied Piper, but with any instrument, and they're a music virtuoso. So they're like really like a classical composer type, but the supervillain. So like I like that idea. Anyway, since we're doing comic book movies.
Yeah.
Sorry. There's my aside.
Okay. No, and I also want to touch on this because Lalo was saying this. I think the great part about Dread was it definitely played on that whole 3D film type thing, but it did. If you watch it on the 2D version, it doesn't take away from that because I think they did it well. I just think it added a little bit of depth to it, and I know. When she said about how people are like, why is everything going in slow motion? It was kind of like if you go back and you watch Journey to the Center of the Earth with Brendan Fraser, and there's that one scene where the guy pops out the tape measure, and you're like, why is that the way it is?
Right.
And you realize it's because it was a 3D film, and then they were trying to pop it out in your face.
Iron Man has a scene in Avengers like that where he points the laser at the screen for a second.
Yep. And interestingly enough, Guardians of the Galaxy, when they first did it, if you bought it on digital through like a console like a PS3 which had 3D ability, they do something that the Blu-ray 3Ds don't do. When Drax is coughing up that cerebral fluid off of nowhere, when Groot kind of saves his life after he fought Ronan, the fluid actually flies off of the black bars. So it actually goes out of the normal screen area. They did that for only the digital. It didn't happen in the actual Blu-ray version, which that neither here nor there. I guess it's just a little added extra there for you.
Those kinds of things drive me nuts though, because they did that in the newer Ghostbusters movie, and I actually didn't. That movie I think is fun because it's just I took it for what it was, but they went outside the letterbox for the special effects, and it takes you right out of the movie. I'm like, I'm looking in a screen, not with a screen. Like, don't do that to me. So, anyway, I think Joker has cleared up what he was trying to say.
No, I still don't get it. So that's what I'm asking right now.
Just from what I'm seeing him say there, telepathy is only inside the mind, and that's it. Break the mind to finish the person. Psychosis, like, oh, maybe that doesn't make sense. I said I see, and I thought it made sense to me, but now it doesn't.
No, because telepathy is all about mental and like thoughts and everything. So like,
wait,
yeah,
is
like
that,
you can.
Is that psychokinesis?
That's what I think he's meaning in psychokinesis, like because telepathy can cause psychosis.
Well,
but
Doctor
I think he means,
Professor X can create.
Telekinesis.
Yeah, I'm like, okay, so I don't think it's telling me about
we
what
got
like,
there. We had to crawl
the We did, because like I myself on power. Like I really do pride myself on like I know what like powers, what my powers do. So I was like, like Google this.
Are you guys good to talk about Dread for another couple minutes? I need to step away for the facilities, but I don't want to go BRB. You guys good to talk for a minute while I do that?
Yeah. And then I might have to use the restroom a little bit
perfect.
too.
That way we always have two, like we've already been talking about. So this is perfect. Well, we've been going for an hour longer, so we've already been on here for a little while. So
you better hold up on that Pepsi.
All day.
I can see you drinking that Pepsi
all day.
So
and I got some water too.
Nice. All right, you guys keep chatting. Dread. If anything really interesting comes up, make sure you include me. I'll be right back.
Yeah.
Got you.
So, I really good.
I have a question.
Okay.
Okay, so if you were in this world, right? If you were in this world, would you be a judge, or would you like want to be one of the people?
Well, I think in the sense of, if I remember, okay, so if I go back and think about the comic books, the judges were basically selected at birth, and that's why it was like weird for Anderson to be training, because at that point, they were trained as children to to follow this, because like the law was basically like a religion for them. I don't know. I don't think I would have qualified for being a judge.
Why do you feel that way?
Because it was it's very militaristic.
Mm-hmm.
It is, I mean, like physically demanding. I mean, you think you can't get in the military, because of certain like requirements. I think it would have been even harder as a judge. Then there's the amount of indoctrination that took place. And these people, I mean, the judges were not pulled from, the streets so much as, they were selected for their acuity and things like that. So I don't know. I don't think I would have been. I would have hoped to have been probably more like that medic in the building, where he kind of like had to be neutral, but at the same time he was there to kind of help the people. So that's kind of my take on it. That's where I think I would have gone in the sense of working in that world. So I think it's interesting though, because if you think about it, I mean, we talk a lot about how these movies are kind of parallels to our own world and how it is, and there's such a class disparity. Peachtree's is one of the worst buildings. In Judge Dredd, they actually kind of pulled off the idea that there were different units, or there were different blocks in Mega City 1, and there was the higher class, upper class, and then you had all of these slums. And I mean, you even look at like when they had the opening scene where the car chase, that mall, even though it had some technological advancements that we would think are advancements, It really felt like when I went to Guadalajara, like it was more like, you know, um dilapidated. And I mean, you look at where the guy held the girl hostage.
Yeah.
That you go to Guadalajara, that's like how things are in their like their little like flea markets and their little,
Okay. Yeah.
it's just like that. And it's kind of, it was kind of interesting to see, because like the whole idea is the whole world is basically, irradiated, and there's only these mega cities, and
Right.
last big city, and so everyone from all over the world is basically crammed in.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like they're going that way. It's gonna like break down to like just one big part of the United States where everybody's gonna congregate. It's gonna be terrible. But Joker said like you're saying that now because of now. But if you were trained as a kid and that's all you know, you wouldn't know what else you wouldn't know what anything else is.
Right, which is that's the thing. Like I don't know where I would have fallen into this world, but like Lala, her question was, where do you think I would want to be, or
Yeah,
like,
where would you want to be?
I mean, honestly, I don't. I think if I were to be a judge, I would have probably tried to have been more like Anderson. Anderson's goal was to make a difference, which was not what the judge's intentions were. Their goal was to dispense justice.
Right.
And they were dirty judges and stuff like that. It's kind of like the idea of like the police force of today. It's very much a job, and we forget that this is not a fraternity of noble individuals that become police officers. It is a job. And just like any job, there are fantastic police officers. There are fantastic people that go out to make a difference, to help their community, because, maybe a cop made a difference in their lives, and that's great, and more power to those people. But there are also people that are out there because their families have been judges or have been cops, and it's in their life, and they get off on the power, and we have problems with people like these. And it's just like when you go into intention, there are people that are. Imagine this. Think of the worst person that was ever a supervisor for you, and how terrible they were to you, and how heartless they were, not caring about your personal life or anything like that. And then think what would happen if they were a cop. It's like, imagine a department of judges just like that. Welcome back, Snidbids.
So I was going to ask if we were talking about real life or Judge Dredd, but again, hard to tell the difference. I started to realize what you were talking about, but yeah, go ahead.
Well,
Lala.
I asked the question if he, would he be a judge in this world, or would he just be like one of the people? Like,
I wouldn't want other job in this world. Put me out in the irradiated desert as a weird zombie person. So that's just me. No, that's a very good question. I like the idea of what would you do in a world? What fictional character would you take on? And in Dredd, Mama, maybe?
I mean, she was at the height of her, she was at the height. And she knew it would come to an end one day, so she lived it
right.
for the most part.
Oh, look at his chair.
Yeah, I actually had that chair in my Amazon cart. I want to buy it. So, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, obviously, I'm a fan of Captain America, and that's my shirt.
Nice. I love the pops. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's Civil War.
I love it.
Yeah. I was done.
Who's sus? What? The imposter is sus?
When the imposter is a I don't know. I mean, I'm kind of on the same, like, I would want to be a mutant, but they never really explain how she is a mutant that still looks semi-human, because supposedly in this world, when you're a mutant, like, you're like deformed, essentially, is what the context in which I got from it. But somehow she came out looking like normal.
Right. Okay. So here's the thing. Probability says that eventually those two things would match up. Right. Eventually. Mm-hmm. So maybe she's like she's the unicorn, like, of the whole world.
Yeah.
That's possible.
But again, they never explained it, so it's one of those things where like you just kind of draw your own conclusion.
Yeah, headcanon is fun. I love getting headcanon.
And that's cool. So like I'm kind of on the same as Marvelite. I would probably be a mutant. I would be a mutant, and hopefully still look semi-human, and I would want to be a judge as well. So I would want to be Anderson in this world.
You want to be Anderson?
Because I would be Anderson in this world, or a version of that. Like maybe they're opening up the ranks to more mutants that have abilities, because I feel like that would be the way that you would go. Like you would want superpowered people on your side, right?
You
wouldn't
would.
want to fight against.
You would, especially against those giant drug dealers and everything going on in Mega One City.
Mhm.
I always think of the Muto from Waterworld as kind of that unicorn character. You're like, okay, if I had to pick a character to be in the Waterworld, absolutely, I'm going to be the Muto. I want to swim underwater. I want to do all that, So the unicorn character is always the fun one, I think. That's just me.
Yeah.
Can we also just say how Carl Urban just has a great way of being in movies and just playing like different types of characters?
I'm going to see if I can make the face.
Because I love him in Priest. One of my favorites.
He's so angry in that movie. He just how he does that, I don't know. And he looks like he's going to eat your face off.
They said that he had a hard time with that voice. It was very strenuous for him.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
I love Waterworld, Jesse. I love it. It's so terrible and wonderful. And like we were talking about a couple weeks ago, if you really love Dennis Hopper in Waterworld, just watch Super Mario Brothers and you'll get him again.
Yeah. Same character.
Yeah, pretty much.
Different universe.
So
you just can't de-evolve him any more than he already was.
I like to think that those two characters are cousins in different dimensions. Like they're still the same guy, but like, I don't know.
Or maybe that's just another dimension. Like that's just another form of himself. I think that we have a different. It's us still on different universes, and that's just him on a different universe.
I like
Thanksgiving is weird in that house.
Oh, okay. So this, so here's one for you, and this is a pop culture thing that's really neat. So there's a TV show that took place that was shot and aired in the 1980s. That in its subplots actually subplots that every film and television show is from the same universe. Talk about meta.
Mm.
So like if you watch this show, what we just said is accurate based upon this show's world. So like if we use that as the crux for our pop culture, all of these worlds are technically connected. Which is fun. I mean, we already think that anyway. We always go, what if the Justice League fought the Avengers? We always want that. So we believe it anyway, I think.
So we just said Mario Brothers was before Waterworld. So
yeah, it was.
If you want to see Bowser,
Koopa.
I guess. Who did he play?
Bowser. Yeah, you're right.
If you want to see,
King
if you
Koopa.
want to see him, it was Koopa. If you want to see Koopa, just go watch Waterworld.
He's just an oil tycoon, right? Exactly.
Yeah, just flip it. Yeah.
Yeah, Waterworld is just a prequel to Mario Brothers.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
Actually, I can get with that, man. I can write a story about that.
I like it. All right, so why don't we we've got 45 minutes, and I think that's a good amount of time for the Joker. I think, or Joker, it needs some good amount of time. So why don't we give our ratings for Dread, and we'll go from there.
I'll go first. I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I didn't have any comic book knowledge to go back on. I will give this film a solid 7.5. Only because I can always find something that could be better or could be explained better in this world. Because I like it when you don't assume people know what it is. And so I'm not saying give me all the backstory, but you just add, like I said, 10 more minutes of information never hurt. So I'll say a solid 7.5. And my 12-year-old self will probably give it the same, or maybe an 8. I think my 12-year-old self would have done this a little bit more, especially seeing a girl do stuff, handle a gun and stuff. She'd have flipped her lid, like, oh my gosh, she's just not like getting saved all the time. Like, she saved herself, so very good.
Nice. I'll go next. For myself, I'm going to give it an 8. I can't give it a 9 because I don't think I would go back and watch this over and over again, like 9s and 10s.
Yeah.
I do like it. I will watch it again, but it's going to be some years before I do because I kind of got my fill. The violence is enough over the top that I'm like, okay, I don't think I can handle that 50 cal scene, 4 times a week. It's a great scene, but it's a lot of noise and it's a bit much for me. But an 8, good story. Love that Carl Urban doesn't take his helmet off the whole time. Anderson's great. There's some really great supporting characters, supporting cast members that I think really flush out the story. And it's a good one-off. You don't need a sequel to this movie. You can do it on its own. It's a good, fun Friday night movie if you've never seen it. That to me is efficient. And I think the cinematography is fantastic. That dark tone that we spoke about in the beginning of the review is so good. It feels right throughout the whole film, and every uniform, bullet, the drugs all have that same muted, dark feel, and I really like it. So 8. 12-year-old me probably would also give it an 8.
Are you ready for me?
Go for it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I actually, this is where I disagree a little bit with you. I find this movie is extremely rewatchable. There are a number of films that I can just sit down and I can watch over and over again. For me, A Knight's Tale, Princess Bride. Yes, and it's the 25th anniversary of A Knight's Tale. So A Knight's Tale, Princess Bride, Willow. And then when you start getting into more recent films, then it's Kingsman for me, and Dread is up there along with like Guardians of the Galaxy and Avengers. Dread has got enough variety that no matter whether you start it in the beginning, middle, or end, you're going to get enough action. In some cases, some people find it there's a little bit too gratuitous, but I think the world building was good. I think that the perspective that it provided was amazing, from the judge's perspective, and I even like it more now, realizing that it's more from Anderson's perspective. I liked the compilation between the two of them. Dredd did not want to have her. He does not like the idea of partners. And for him to work with her and then to work in such unison, and to see her grow and get stronger. She didn't need him to save her. She needed him to give her that confidence, because she was all she needed to be. And then it was a great 2D film. It was a great 3D film. It didn't, either one was not, lost because of the two. I'm going to give it a solid 9. This is one of my favorite go-to films. I have recommended this to people, and like we were talking about with comic book films and stuff like that. I've had a lot of people that have watched this film and they've talked about how great it was. And then I've said, it's a comic book film. And they go, what? They didn't need any backstory. They didn't need any history from it. This movie did a great job by itself. And then as a 12-year-old, I would have snuck this movie out because I would have been too young to watch it. I would have been waiting until it was on HBO. And then when my mom fell asleep, I probably would have turned it on and watched it. And I probably would have still given it a 9, because it was just a great overall film. And for me, it is really rewatchable. It doesn't have a lot of those plot holes that a lot of movies do. It was just simple and straightforward. And sometimes that's the best way to do it.
I agree. I don't get what was just said. If you guys could help me with that, that would be awesome. But I totally, I understand your reasoning. No,
I said it was simple and straightforward. Sometimes they don't need to be complicated.
No, they don't. And I like a good just action movie. People get mad at me because I like Point Break, and I'm not talking about that new thing. I'm talking about the Keanu Reeves film, which is terrible. And I love it because it's just a straightforward action flick about kidnapping and bank robbery. I don't need any more. Might be my favorite heist movie, and it's terrible. Because it's many
like
heists.
Speed.
Another one of my favorites. That's just, I'm a 9. I was a teenager in the 90s, so all of these.
Pop Quiz Hotshot.
Right. Oh wait, is he the same character in that?
Oh, it's connecting, you guys.
It's retired King Koopa.
Oh Lord, yeah, they blew off his hand because he couldn't grow it back. Well, he got his eye taken out too. Man, that guy loses a lot of limbs. Okay, so we need to do a whole Dennis Hopper night. Anyway, apparently
that'd be fun too.
Just tearing down Dennis Hopper. Alt, I'm very confused as to what you're talking about, and I want to be involved.
No, you did a joke. He did a joke. He said, "What did the internet say when they got an upgrade?" And he says, "Thank you for the opportunity, like the opportunity
I gotcha.
I had to see what was happening. I missed something and I found it.
This is why I ask you guys, because for some reason, chat and I do all right, but I'm still learning. So that's not my forte. So we're gonna move on to the movie Joker. This is the 2019 film starring Joaquin Phoenix, directed by Todd. What is his last name? I always forget his last name. Todd Phillips, that's right. Thank you. And this is the brainchild of Todd Phillips. Apparently, I actually watched all the behind the scenes for this film, so pardon me if I do a little nerding out on the movie side of it. But I guess that's the point of the show.
You're fine. I didn't watch any behind the scenes.
You didn't.
I watched the
Yeah, so you're the resource.
yeah, the resource
Okay.
on that. And here's the thing: I recorded myself watching it to put on my YouTube page, and when I went to save it, it disappeared.
Oh no!
2 hours. 2 minutes.
Well, everything
And
just
it
went
disappeared.
weird. Okay, we're good. Sorry.
Yeah,
the
Yeah,
whole
it's
stream
yeah,
glitched.
it's getting choppy.
Yeah, it's choppy glitchy on my side.
We're all good.
It just did it all. I think all. Jesus, that's all. Love you all. Love you.
So okay, so you both watched it. Lala, this was your first watch, and it was recent watch, right? This was your first attempt at it. Tony, how many times have you seen it?
Twice.
Okay.
For the ones for this one and then once before.
Okay.
I'll explain why that is.
This was my third viewing, and I'll tell you, it was my third viewing in as many months. Because I am, and I guess I'll just start right here. I am obsessed with this movie. And I'm going to be really, really honest. Being a huge comic book fan, being a huge Batman fan, and knowing that Joker is one of the most iconic and wonderful villains of all time, I was worried about an origin story because I don't like origin stories as a rule. I think they're very, very hard to do right and usually really boring. Mm-hmm. And of course, if you're going to take an iconic character like this, it's like doing Darth Vader's origin story, which didn't go as well as I'd like, or Hannibal's origin story, which didn't go as well as I'd like. And you get all these bad guys where you're like, oh, he's going to be another one of those mommy's boys. Mm-hmm. And of course, we're going to get into this because this film is in depth. When we can talk about every turn in this film, I think. That's going to be all I say to start. I don't want to get too far into it. So, Lala, what do you think about this, just as an initial?
Already. I remember reading that this takes place in a different universe. So that was one thing that I appreciated because let's separate all these universes where Batman is because it's a lot. But I had no expectations going in. Only expectation I had going in is that I knew Joaquin Phoenix was going to play this role to the hilt. Because I am a huge Joaquin Phoenix fan. He always knows the assignment no matter what he's doing. He always knows what he needs to do, what he needs to bring. So I know that I just knew that he would rise to the occasion. I'm always impressed by Robert De Niro because I don't know him personally, but he's Bobby De Niro. And so I'm a fan of his too. This gave me the Killing Joke vibe because of like the origin of him wanting to do stand-up and then failing miserably, and then all these bad things in his life leading to him essentially becoming what he became. I love the style of this world. It's so different from. It's like Gotham is already New York, but it was like this was like Taxi Driver mixed with Joker, in a sense.
Yeah.
And it gave you like that feel. And again, Joaquin Phoenix just rises to the occasion. Like there's moments in this film where it doesn't feel like he's acting, and it's very frightening.
I don't think he is. I don't think he is. That's the thing.
You know, there are moments where I'm like, oh, he's in this. He's like living. He's living and breathing this.
Okay, so
yeah,
this is a behind the scenes thing that I think it has to be mentioned right now because it's huge on what you're saying. So they actually shot anywhere between 10 and 20 takes for every interaction that Joker did. So as that was the case, they said, Todd Phillips specifically came out and said that there are probably 150 versions of this film that could be made based upon how many different times he would do something based upon just two or three different words of direction. Where Todd would come over and go, okay, how about a little scarier? And then he would do freakier things. Or how about a little more awkward? And then he'd instead of coming through the curtain at the talk show, he would go around and climb in through the set, or weird things like that. Like that's Joaquin. Like he goes over the top. Lala, go ahead. I really just wanted you guys to hear that.
If I say something and you get like a thought of like behind the scenes stuff, cut me off. Jump in. Like this is I love hearing that type of stuff. But I went into this with no expectations other than I know that the actors were going to bring everything they brought. So my biggest thing was plot. what is this story going to be? And again, like I said, it gave me the Killing Joke vibes with that. Instead of like it being his family, it was like his mother. Um, um, it was very dark, and it had a lot in it. It had a lot of family issues. It had a lot of mental issues, which I think people don't even put that into the way that they handle mental health is amazing, because a lot of people don't handle mental health that way. They make it a joke, and this didn't. Ironically, this didn't make it a joke, right? I feel like this like cemented it as something that's real and serious, because his mother was mentally impaired, and then you find out that he's not even biologically related to her, and he's also mentally like impaired. So it shows you that yes, it can be a genetic thing, but it can also be something that you're born into,
Right.
because of what he went through. And I thought that was a good way. It was just kind of like beautiful to see in a weird way. I don't know if beautiful is a weird word, but that's just who I am. It's just beautiful to see in a weird way that like you're just like somebody you're not even like biologically related to. It's like you still caught this in a way, or got this in a way. And to see his slow descent into becoming, because I like that it's not called the Joker. I love that it's called Joker, because Robert De Niro's Murray called him a Joker, right? So to me, it's kind of like the same vein as how I say like Jesse Eisenberg's Alexander Luthor isn't Lex Luthor yet, right? So this Joker isn't the Joker yet, and I enjoyed seeing him go from being very wound up and tight to loosening up and being like, well, since nobody cares, then I'll just kill people because nobody cares. And then it's like when he kills the two guys on the subway, I felt vindicated for him, because it's like, how much more could you all possibly put me through? So it seems like the world was against him, like the whole entire world was against him. And I don't know. I could watch this all day. I'll let somebody else. I'll let like or something like that. But because it's so much. This movie is thick with stuff.
So I was right when I told you to
good.
watch this. I said you should watch this. You'll like it. Yeah. Okay.
You were right. Here's the thing, though, right? Like I own this film, right? This is one of the couple of films that we reviewed that I actually own, and I just didn't watch it because I was like, I have a tendency to know when I'm going to like something, but I get a fear of watching it in fear of not liking it.
Right.
So I stop myself from watching it. But this stream is making me watch things that I wouldn't even have thought about watching. So I think that's the beauty of this in of this relationship and friendship that we're creating, is that I'm seeing things that I wouldn't normally watch or be afraid to watch. So I think that's awesome. And man, Joker was, I went in like, huh, and then came out like, what you don't say?
That's a great reaction. Tony, we definitely want to hear what you have to say. We're just both very excited.
Sure. Yeah. So, okay. So first of all, I found so many like deriving, it was deriving from so many different like sources, and I got like taxi driver vibes. I got A Beautiful Mind vibes. It was just amazing, like just seeing how every little piece. I mean, like what was real, what wasn't, let alone let's talk about Zazie Beetz. I love that actress, and I think she's amazing in everything she does, and not just in Deadpool, not just in this, but it's like it's taking and kind of like really seeing. I've always been very apprehensive about Joker having origin stories.
Mm-hmm.
I've worried about that, but what we have to realize is this is a standalone film, touching on the universe, but it doesn't necessarily mean that this is the Joker that we know. It may end up even being that this isn't even Joker in this world either, if you think about it.
Right.
This guy could have been the inspiration for the Joker that we know of as Batman's arch nemesis.
Right, and 10 years later or something.
That's what's beautiful about it, because he's Joker, not the Joker. I'm sorry,
Right.
continue.
Right, exactly. And so it's just like it's like just the fact that everyone thinks that they know exactly what they know about this film, but then there are always questions about what really is going on, and even that ending. I mean, it also gave me kind of like that Inception thought at the end, where he spins the top, but you never really know if the top
Well,
stops.
there's also
Yeah.
a Fight Club esque aspect to all of this as well, where you
Yeah.
don't know what's real, you do, dark, gross. You can tell Todd Phillips grew up with the same movies we grew up with. You can just see it. He was inspired by
Yeah.
the same things that would probably inspire me to make a movie. The one thing I want to talk about is the character that nobody talks about in this movie, and I'll let Tony finish if he had more to say. But I want to make sure
Is
I
it his
touch.
mother?
What is it?
Is it his mother?
No.
But no, I mean, you go back to the mother and stuff, and I mean, like, there's all this stuff going on, but I really liked how they touched on the Waynes. Like the Waynes were, they were mentioned. You have this infatuation with Thomas Wayne. You have this thought of the Joker thinking that he's brothers with Bruce, and you have that traumatic event with Bruce before his parents die that leads up to their death. And so you don't need an origin story for Batman coming in the future because you just got one in Joker.
Right.
So, but go ahead. What are your thoughts? I want to hear what's. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I put it up. I put it up as fast as I could. So yeah, everybody, if you got a spoiler, just throw it, and I'll put up the spoiler alert. So,
Okay.
and there is a tiger going to be coming. A Tony the Tiger will be showing up to our stream.
The real question is, where's my Phoenix?
She
It was
was
there when you were gone.
Yeah, so she's sitting behind you.
Oh.
It was your placeholder so that people knew you were supposed to be there. Pardon me. So the character that is not talked about much, and that I felt this the moment I watched the movie, I even mentioned this to my wife, and then I was really redeemed when I watched the behind the scenes. And Todd Phillips also.
You make me want to watch it.
You need to watch the behind the scenes. It's one of the better behind the scenes I've seen. But Todd Phillips actually goes and says the same thing, and I went, "Oh, that's awesome," because I felt it, I thought it, I said it, and then he confirmed it. So the character that's not talked about is Gotham City, and
Yes.
the city is without a doubt a character that grows. It has its own storyline. It has its own plot. It has its own character, and it gets angrier as the film goes on. And Todd nails capturing that. That ending. This is the reason I'm obsessed with this film. This took over most of Nolan films for me to obsess about. I can just set those aside now and obsess about this one instead, because I want to dissect it. I want to tear it apart and try to figure out what. I don't know. Not every movie does this for me, but this one did. Anyway, that was the Gotham City. That was what I wanted to say.
And this was like New York and Sex in the City, right? It was a big character that had a beating, breathing heart of its own, that was already on the brink of collapse, and with Joker finding his, I guess, resolve at the end, it's like I liked the whole movie. I was very happy to finally see the stairs scene with him dancing. Like, I finally to hear that music, because you saw it in the trailer for a little bit and it looked interesting, but to see it in like its full fruition is very interesting, and I absolutely loved it. Like, I just need that song as a ringer on my phone just because it'll immediately take me back to that moment. And then to see him finally embraced by a community of his own creation was like amazing. And it was created honestly by accident. Like, he was just fed up and created like this persona in which he could live in that was better than the life he was living.
Far better.
And and people do that on a regular basis. Some of them murder, but some of them don't at the same time.
Right.
But people do that on a regular basis. Some people are not the people that you see. You know, they are hiding behind a persona of what they feel like they need to project. And he stopped taking his meds. Listen, one of my favorite scenes, I'm just gonna throw this out there. One of my favorite scenes is when he killed the guy that gave him the gun.
It's a good scene.
Okay, so this again, if something can get me to audibly speak, I know it's good, because usually when I watch movies, I'm very quiet. I pay attention. I'm just in it. But if I'm like, oh no, or if I'm like, oh, like if I'm doing that in a movie, I'm enjoying myself like thoroughly. So when they came to his house and they walked in first, he let them in. And when he closed the door and locked the door, I was like, somebody's dying. I knew immediately
Yep.
that somebody was about to die because he put the top latch on too. I'm like, he's about to kill somebody.
I felt so bad for that little person in that scene.
Look at
Like,
you.
even when he said, "I'm going to let you go," and then he couldn't open the door because it was latched. It was like, it was just terrifying. Like, is he just joking with the guy or what?
Yeah, but then he
Right,
had to
but
take
I
it
loved
there.
it.
He had to take it there and be that mean Joker that we know.
But it's one of those things where it's like, I'm happy that he took the guy because the guy was not his friend. The moment he was like, you know, you're my guy. I was like, he's lying. I yelled at the screen, he's lying because he doesn't like you. I could tell that guy had an issue with him from the jump. So when he died, I was like, I'm happy you killed him.
Are you having trouble hearing her, Tony? Because I'm having a lot of trouble hearing her.
Yeah, I'm having a little bit of trouble hearing. It's getting a little garbled.
I think it's the microphone. Is it rubbing against your clothes at all?
No, I'm not. I'm nowhere near it. Like
Okay.
I'm near it, but it's nowhere near like my body or my clothes.
Okay, I wasn't sure because it seems to like come and go, so I wasn't sure.
And
if
then
it was,
when
like,
it comes, it's like fantastic, and then it like just garbles a
No.
little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe I just need a new mic. Who knows? Can you hear me a little bit?
I think it's the connection. I don't think it's the mic.
Oh, okay.
So.
I can't do anything about that right now.
Nope, and it's okay. Let's just keep going. I just want to be able to hear what you're saying. Is all. That's
Okay. But it's a lot in this film that can be broken down and dissected and like pulled apart and stitched back together. And Todd Phillips does a really good job of seriousness with comedy, right? Which he blends it so well that I don't. Because sometimes some people lean too far towards the comedy and not so much towards the serious, or too much towards the serious, and they kind of forget about the comedy. This was a girl couldn't like open the door, and he had to ask the person that he's afraid of to open the door for him. Like it was sickening in a way, but also he was like, "Oh yeah, my bad. All right, here we go." Like he was like, "Thanks for being nice to me. Like you're the only person that was nice to me." And I was like, "That it goes a long way to be nice to people."
It does. It does. Yeah, if Arthur's not going to kill you, that means something. I think that character not killing you. You said something about the stairs, and I really loved the motif of how hard his life was climbing the stairs to be a clown, climbing the stairs every day, dark, dismal. That shot from always from below, and then we get a shot from above when he finally lets go and puts on the outfit and becomes Joker. And the music changes, like you said, and all those things change, and you get to see the inside. And I think Joaquin, the transformation of the physical presentation of the character is phenomenal, almost on an unparalleled level in a film that I've ever seen. And I've seen things like The Machinist, where I'm like, wow, Christian, wow, that was a lot. This wasn't just, but it wasn't just his physically that he was so skinny, Joaquin, in this one. It's the way he presented himself. The fact that when he was Arthur, he was literally just couldn't walk. He tripped, he fell, he couldn't hold a gun. But when he was Joker, when he walks down the subway hallway and he's smoking, dude, I want to be him in that moment.
No, that's the coolest shot of like the whole movie.
It really is.
He's walking past the cops like, you know, like it's so good. It's so good.
It was. Tony, go ahead.
No, I just recently saw a TikTok about this movie where they were talking about, and I have to say this, I love method acting. I think that it's fantastic. I think that when Christian Bale did it for some of his roles, when Joaquin Phoenix does it, it's fantastic. But they were saying that when he was working on his laugh for this movie, they actually showed him recordings of people that have convulsive laughter as a mental illness symptom, and he actually like patterned his laugh from one of those videos. And I mean, it gave it such credence to the fact of this guy's got such mental illness. And I'm going to say this right now because no matter what happens, and we've got a good group of people in here, mental illness does not make a person a criminal.
Right.
Mental illness does not make a person bad. We all have some sort of issues in our lives. in some way. Mental health, a brain is just like every part of the body. Sometimes people do not focus on taking your arm hurts, you go get checked out. Your stomach hurts, you get checked out. People have mental health issues, and they don't get checked out like they should. And
or have the means to get checked out like they should.
yeah, and I speak from that. Like, if you guys have been watching, I can't sit still. I have Tourette's, and though I don't have the fun kind where I can just blur out profanity anytime I want, well, they don't do either. But like, I don't have triggers. I have non-audible triggers, or with grunting or twitching or things. So if you see me like moving my lips and stuff, it's because it's convulsive. And when he did that laugh, and you could see where people are looking at him like he's crazy, and he's trying to give them that card.
And you can tell that he's trying so hard to.
I identify as people. I can tell you right now, when I start to twitch or when I start to tick because of something that's like triggering it, it's so hard to communicate to people in that moment. And for him to get more hate because of those moments, like, I really felt for him as a character, not as a villain, as like that tragic hero.
Mm-hmm.
And it resonated a lot with me. So that's I just haven't.
Well, you get the start of that on the subway when he's coming home as Joker for the first time, not intentionally, where he's wearing the makeup, where he starts to get the ideas. As far as the character of what Joaquin created, like I said earlier, he made so many different takes. The take where he comes in and he punches the clock off the wall, that's unscripted. He came in and just did that.
It seemed unscripted, honestly. I was like, he did that.
He did. And I love that he was self-aware. The character, Arthur, was self-aware enough that when he was laughing at their jokes about the little person, when he came around the corner, he ceased laughing immediately because he knew they couldn't hear him anymore. He was aware. And there were little hints to the fact that Joker was in there, but he was just not being let out. That he was conditioned to keep who he really was inside.
Yeah, I mean that's the medication, right? And I've heard accounts of people say where people take medication that it clouds them. Like, they don't feel like themselves anymore. And like, this was a perfect example of that. Because he's like, yeah, I don't take my pills anymore, and they were visually frightened because I felt like the pills kept Joker at bay, right? And then without the pills, I was like, yeah, he's stepping more into this forthrightness. And I had this issue, like I just because his mother kept saying like she called him happy and stuff like that, and I was like, he's not happy. I was like, I love the fact that they have they go back and forth about that. They go back and forth with, like, she called him happy his whole life, and that he was supposed to bring joy to the world, and he actually brings the opposite.
Right.
So I love that bit of storytelling along that way. And I just want to say, like, the moments where he was like fantasizing about things, like fantasizing his relationship with Zazy's character, and like when he was in their apartment because he couldn't tell reality from fiction, and she was like visibly frightened. I was like, that a chill ran down my spine. Like, down my spine. I could not have imagined putting my daughter to bed, come out to the living room, and seeing somebody sitting on my couch.
Not just somebody, but if you watch the movie carefully, somebody you had one interaction with one time, and he was weird the whole time. And it's barely interaction. Like, she's just being kind of quippy, like funny. Yeah, like you would with anybody in an elevator, where you're just like, ha ha ha, and boom, done. Right, that's your interaction. Like at the supermarket.
Now he's in your house.
Right.
Like, my gosh, that part, I was like, no. I was like, why is your door out? Like, why did you lock your door?
Agreed.
Well, Gotham. Come on, it's Gotham. Child, lock your door. Lock your door.
Hide your kids, hide your wife.
Right.
Exactly. But this is such a good film, though. It's such, and can I just say, like, every character that we've seen that said a word knew their job. I don't think there was any bad casting, whether it was leading, supporting, background, whatever. I feel like everybody did their job. Robert De Niro as like a Johnny Carson-esque character.
Yep.
Was amazing. If you didn't think the guy could still act, you know what I mean? Like, if you didn't think that he still had it, I guess, or that X factor. Like this movie could like set you up because it was everything he did. It wasn't a huge role, but it was an effective role.
Oh yeah.
That's all you need, man. That's all you need.
Well, I think by putting a well-known actor in that role, we already felt like we watched him every night. We didn't need that name recognition of this character from the TV show. He is our Johnny Carson. I mean, essentially, you could have put Pacino in the role; it might have worked just as well. Maybe Christopher Walken, somebody of that stature, you know.
I thought it would have been Ronald. I thought it would have been
Christopher Walken in here.
I don't know. Walken could have been interesting.
Oh, you're the Joker, but really.
Oh, okay. So this is way aside, but because we've just talked about some impressions, I will have to send you guys this TikTok. It's a guy that does all the celebrity voices of themselves as if they were Pokemon.
Oh, that's funny. I thought I've seen that.
It's funny. Seth Rogen. You know, like that kind of like he does an impression of Seth Rogen, but only doing his own voice as a Pokemon. I will absolutely.
Walken.
Yeah, walking, like
walking.
Exactly. I'll send you guys that TikTok.
I've seen him, so yeah, send that to me. I think I've seen him before.
He's pretty funny. So that all aside, the one thing about behind the scenes that I thought was really interesting was they talked about the city again a little bit more, and they said they modeled it after 1981 New York City, when the garbage was really piling up. When even
that was right around the Son of Sam stuff.
Right. It was a really bad era in New York, like one of the worst eras in New York City history.
And they had the rolling blackouts and
right.
and the police weren't trusted, like right. They were losing their jobs. And
so they just said, why don't we just make that Gotham, and then we'll add these elements of Gotham in. And if you go, you guys got to watch these behind the scenes. They actually took elements of New York that you don't normally see, or the ones that you do see. They actually take out any landmark that seems familiar, like Tower One and the Empire and things like that, and add in their own skyline, but with that foreground being still New York, with buildings, if you were like a true New Yorker, you might recognize, but the average audience won't. And they tried to shoot under bridges that aren't normally shot under, and they tried to find places that people don't associate, like that stairwell, I think is in the Bronx, but people assume that he's somewhere, you know, that we're looking at Manhattan. Because if it's shot in New York, you know, it's a flat city. Why is there a hill? It starts to disassociate itself from New York City. And that was something they went out of their way to do. I really want to hear what you guys think of the behind the scenes on this film.
Oh, yeah, I definitely, I'm gonna have to get into watching some of them. I haven't done it, and this is definitely, you're intriguing me to kind of do a deep dive into the movie. You know, I like things that they've touched on, like the, you know, the method acting for, you know, the laugh and stuff like that. I've always been interested in how actors like get into the Joker. I loved Jack Nicholson's Joker. I just didn't think he did a lot of work for it, whereas like Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix did the work. They, you know, they delved into insanity for it, and we saw what happened to Heath Ledger afterward. But you have I mean, even to the point of where like that there's an alley scene where Joaquin Phoenix where Joker is kicking that dumpster.
Yes.
Like, he dislocated his knee in the filming of that scene, but kept acting after he did it. And then when he fell and was cradling his leg, that was real pain. Like he was really injured at that point.
Mm-hmm.
But he just kept going. And there's stuff like that. And then, you know, right when you said about the 1980s New York City, if you guys want to get an idea of really, like, since they patterned it after that, go to Netflix and watch the recent documentary they did about the Son of Sam. The first episode dives into how terrible New York City was at that time frame. And it literally is Gotham City. And to look at, to see what they're pulling from, the source material is definitely worth a look into. But yeah, I mean, and then the fact that, you know, for 1980s New York, the Son of Sam murders was what kind of like galvanized the people to do better. It caused a bump in the police force, that the police got increased funding because they had all of these. They had more people on a task force for the Son of Sam than anything else. But you look at Gotham, it was the exact opposite. It galvanized the people against the police, against the establishment. and you ended up seeing people, galvanizing against the killer, which was very interesting to see that how Gotham went in a different direction.
You would argue that this is a cautionary tale. What not
Yeah.
to do with your mental health programs.
Yeah.
What not to do with your ousted people. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't understand just how to treat people in general, right? Because this again, like I don't have an issue watching origin stories of villains where you want me to sympathize with a villain, right? Because I mean, nobody starts out as a villain. They want you to think that nobody starts out as a villain, and I agree. But I felt like when he put those guys in the subway, I felt very vindicated for him.
Mhm.
I was like, because when is enough enough?
Right.
Mhm.
Right? He goes to his social worker, she don't listen. Right? And that's not to say that she's a bad person, but you don't listen.
No, she's got it as bad as he does. If you listen to her, she's got shit going on in her life that sucks.
Yeah,
so
I know, right? And I'm not saying she's a bad person, but also it's like when you come to work, you have to come to work. You have to separate. It might be hard, but that is your job, right? My aunt's a social worker. I know it's hard, like but you have to do that because you put yourself in a position to help other people. And if you don't listen to those people, and then it's like that too. The government don't care about people either. So what do? They cut the funding.
Right.
I can't help you anymore as much as I was helping you. So everything in his life continued to fail, and the only thing that he had was his mother. And when he realized that she was a liar, I called this like early in the movie. I really wish I had to film me for this, but I don't. I was like, he's going to kill her somehow. Spoiler alert! If y'all ain't seen it in 2 years, I don't know what to tell you.
I should have put that up. That was my bad. I wasn't looking.
No, that's on me. I usually want to say spoiler alert before just to give like that heads up, but I always forget sometimes.
I labeled this channel spoilers. So
yes. So I knew he was going to kill her because that was the last bit of anchor he had. I said once his mother dies, it's over from here on out. And that's what it was. She died. He didn't have funding. He couldn't get his pills anymore. Everything just seemed to be stacked against him to the point where he created the family he never had, the loyalty he never received, the love he never saw.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And I thought that was like it's such a beautiful film, and I was worried about them showing an older Joker with a young Batman because I was like, that don't make sense. Like he's not immortal, he's a human. But it doesn't make sense. But hearing Marvelite say that maybe this isn't even that world's like prime Joker, that we know makes like perfect sense. Like maybe he was born out of this chaos.
You know what's really weird is the Joker we get from Jared Leto actually feels like the rip-off version, the future version of this Joker.
If you also think about it, though, when you look at the separation between Jack Nicholson and Michael Keaton as Joker and Batman in the 1989 Batman by Tim Burton, if you think about Joker, well, he wasn't exactly Joker then, but Joker killed Bruce Wayne's parents, and he was an older guy then,
Mm-hmm.
So we really don't we don't really think about the age in that Batman film, but literally it could still translate from what we saw with Joker.
Right.
It's just that we think he's so much older, but really, give that kid, what is he? He's probably like 12 years old maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Give him 10 years, he'll be 22 years old. He'll be a young Batman, and it could work. So
it could be.
Yeah.
I think we're almost out of time. Maybe now would be a good rating moment, and then we'll raid after the rating. Pardon. I guess I'll
you can go first, man.
Okay. So honestly, it's a 10. I will be re-examining this movie over and over and over. And I rewatched it 3 times in 3 months. I'll probably rewatch it next month until I get tired of it. Not quite Guardians of the Galaxy, where I think I watched it 25 times in the first 6 months. But still definitely high up on my list. 12-year-old me, probably a 6. because I wouldn't have gotten it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I still would have enjoyed some of the murders and the darkness and the feel, but I would have been like, huh? Or something to that effect. That's just me.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, that's just me. So a 10 and a 6.
Okay. Marvelite?
I probably would give it a solid 8. It's not. So here's the thing. Like I like these type of movies. I need time to really decompress from them after. I mean, because it's just the content. It's about time. Like I'll probably give this about a month or so before I jump into it. I'll definitely do like the bonus features, and I'll definitely do like the behind the scenes stuff. But like movies like this, I try to avoid doing too often because it's just a really it's heavy. It's a lot of content. Um, I'm a fluff type guy. I like straightforward things, but at the same time, I love when it makes you think. And but it takes a lot of effort to get into it, and sometimes you need time to decompress to go back and then see something new. So it's not as rewatchable for me as some movies, but it's definitely up there. So 8, solid 8 for me. I'm gonna agree with you on the 12-year-old. I probably would have watched it because it was this comic book film. I think it would have gone over my head, and I would have given it probably a 6. And then I probably would have gone back to it later after someone had said, "Oh yeah, but there was this," and then later I would have had a better, view of it because I really resonated after a while, after marinated a little bit.
For sure.
Solid 9. I'll probably never give anything a 10, but that's just me. I might give animations a 10 because I'm a sucker for animation. But human films, the best you could probably get out of me is a 9. Like, if you're, but it's been a 9 because it's like Marvelite said, it's heavy, but it also has a lot of meat in it, right? Sometimes people try to create a heavy piece and it just doesn't fill you up like you want it to. But this one I watched it and I was thoroughly full. I wiped my mouth, I put my napkin down, I was like, that was delicious. Huh? That's good. So I'll give that like a solid 9 because it's just there's so much you can pull apart. Like one opening scene, you can. It's a lot of meat on that bone. You know what I mean? Like the stair scene, a lot of meat on that bone. Like him dancing in the juxtaposition of him dancing in the bathroom to him dancing on top of the car at the end. So much meat on that bone. So like it gets a nice 9 out of me. I don't know if I'll watch it anytime soon again. I will be checking out those behind the scenes though, which sometimes when I look at the behind the scenes bonus features, it makes me want to rewatch the movie just so I correlate the things and put the stuff together. So that's a possibility. But I'll definitely watch the behind the scenes stuff. My 12-year-old self would not have understood this movie at all. I would have loved to think that I was that enlightened as a 12-year-old, but I was not. It was not. And I think my 12-year-old self would be like 5, honestly, because I just wouldn't. I know who the Joker was at 12 years old, and I probably would have been disappointed that it wasn't like the Joker I remember. So that's probably why I would give it a 5.
No, that's fair. I think we all kind of agree that the content is too heavy to just assume that a 12-year-old, and that's not to say there aren't 12-year-olds out there that wouldn't get this film, because there are.
Well, these 12-year-olds now are built way different.
Well, and this is their movie. This is what they're watching at 12 when we would have been watching, Taxi Driver at best.
Me was watching Ace Ventura when Nature Calls.
Right, exactly. That's what, Last Action Hero.
Biodome.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Wheezing the juice. That was me. All the way until like 18.
We got lots of stuff to eat.
I love it. Okay, so that being said, now again, one more time, next week we will be covering new ground. We're going to be moving into more comic book movies, but we're going to get into a theme. That theme is Iron Man or Tony Stark a true hero or not? That's the thing.
Right. And we're me and Lala are taking one side, and Mr. Snip is just taking the wrong side.
And now you know where we stand, but it's going to be 3 weeks of this, so get ready. We are
Yeah.
going to we're going to review the films as we go. So it's an MCU review with the debate backdrop. And so we're going to do Iron Man 2, and Avengers this next week. The week after that, we're going to do Iron Man 3, Age of Ultron, and then Civil War. And the week after that, we're going to do Homecoming, and then the two final Avengers films, or at least the most recent final Avengers films. And we'll go through the whole Tony Stark arc. Arc reactor. Anyway.
You're the cleverest boy in the school, aren't you? Cleverest.
I am.
Yes.
And it's working well for me. So that being said, those will be the movies next week. This will be the format from here on out as far as the three of us. So welcome permanently to Black Girl Marvel and Marvelite 20 as guests, and not guests, but as co-hosts of the show. And that name up there, although honored, and we might even have a moment where I'll do a segment called the Bits and WIKK segment. That way it stays alive within the show. Will become something new as we rebrand, and you guys will see it. You guys got anything else?
You can follow me on Twitch and TikTok, and just look up Black Girl Marvel. Google it; you'll find me everywhere. So just follow me on everything, guys. I try to give as good content as I can.
Yes. Yeah, and if you guys have ideas for what we call ourselves,
Yeah, that'd be great.
Appreciated. I was sitting in my chair after nursing a migraine this morning, and trying to figure out what we would call ourselves, and I realized I'm not that good at that. So ideas would be fantastic.
I'm with you. And of course, there's also the Discord that you guys are all a part of. At least most of you are, so you can always drop ideas and suggestions in the Discord. And Marvelite has his own Discord, and then Lala is actually connected right to my Discord, where she has her own channels there. If you want to go check out her stuff, the Order of the Triad.
Oh, salty dog. I actually kind of dig that, honestly.
We might have to drop the though, and just be Order of the Triad.
Yeah.
Or even just Triad. I like Triad. I like
Or
the
just
word.
Triad,
Triad. It's nice. Venture Brothers reference.
Gotcha. Oh crap! I haven't seen Venture Brothers. It would be really disingenuous of me to have a Venture Brothers reference name that I can't back up.
Then go watch it.
I have 2 children. Anyway, I struggle to watch the movies for this show, so we'll leave it at that. Catch us next week. We will be back. The Triad of movie reviewers will be back next week. There was a guy on here named Tonbo that was on that I don't know, but I know him from TikTok. I was considering just rating him just to see what would happen. So let's see what happens. You guys have a great evening.
Thanks for coming and joining us.
Thank you guys. The chat's been fantastic. I've appreciated even the toilet.
Even the poop. Yeah, even the poop.
Yeah.
I
agree. That was funny. I laughed quite a bit.
Something with real in it.
Right. So this guy is playing Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. So if you like horror games, that's what we're gonna go watch. Here we go.
The Real Triad.
The real Triad. REEL Triad.
Yeah.
Real Triad
night,
podcast.
Guys.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Good night.